San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego, and happy Wednesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We got a lot to get to today on the Braden Surprenant Show. We got a lot to get to when it comes to Padres baseball around the major leagues. We got spring training updates for you, how everybody's looking. We'll have reports, some sound from a lot of the great interviews that Ben Woods had throughout the week this week. I mean, we had a lot of good stuff this week. I mean, we didn't even get to everything they had yesterday. We're going to catch up with some of that in the near future. Plus, we have a big college basketball game tonight. San Diego State basketball. It's huge. This is for their season. I mean, this is literally for their season. You want to play in March? You got to win tonight. It's the last-ditch effort. They are running out of opportunities to really show that they can have quad one games. It's a mightily important game tonight for San Diego State. I can't preference that enough. I cannot tell you how much more important tonight's game is. If you have season tickets to the Aztecs, if you're thinking about going, you got to go. And I'm telling you right now, the show needs to be better. The show needs to be better. They have not been good. The student section, you need to be rowdy tonight. You need to be all over the place. You need to make it a living hell for Utah State. If you want to even think about getting to March. San Diego State can say all they want about like everything that they've accomplished and, live in the past, but presently, the student section needs to be better. Fans need to bring the noise. They got to outdo Utah State. And Utah State set the tone up in Logan with their atmosphere and everything that they did. What does the committee want to see? They want to see your net profile. That continues to drop for San Diego State. They got to be able to salvage that. You know what else they look for? Quad one wins. Utah State right now is ranked 23 in the net. You play them at home. You play a top 30 team at home in the net. Guess what? You get a quad one win. They need more of those. They have one. The committee looks at quad one victories. They look at your resumes identical to other bubble teams. I'm telling you, you got to win this game. They have to go a clean sweep. Boise State, New Mexico, and Utah State if they want to sniff March. That's how important tonight's game is. Yeah, they're still in consideration for a regular season championship and all that. That doesn't get you into March. They have to win tonight. The Aztecs need to put together their best game that they can against Utah State. That is at the utmost imperativeness. That's not even a word. Utmost importance. Trying to combine multiple awards. That's how high level this game is. You start comparing San Diego State to some of the teams around them in the net, and you look at quad one games, they can't be 1-4 against quad one teams, which, by the way, if they lose tonight, they'd be 1-5. They need more quad one wins. I mean, one of the schools they're competing with is the school I went to. I watched a lot of their games. They're good. They're not great. But the difference is they get to play a lot more quad one teams. They have played 11 quad one games. They're 4-7 in quad one. That's 4 wins. That's 3 more than what San Diego State has. And guess what? They got more quad one games on the horizon. San Diego State needs to have this game. I mean, New Mexico took a loss last night to Nevada. New Mexico's 1-5 in quad one. They're a bubble team that's about to play their way out. Virginia Commonwealth, another bubble team. They're 1-5 in quad. I'm telling you, they're competing with teams that only have one quad one win This is going to separate them. They have to add more. I mean, UCLA, as big of a circus as they've been, they're a bubble team. They have 3 quad 1 wins. They need to improve the quad 1 games. This game is huge for San Diego State. Again, I mentioned before, the Aztecs are 46 in the net. They dropped 2 spots. You look at their overall metrics at 17-8. And again, 17-8 is only counting the games against D1 teams. They're 17-8. They're 11-2 at home, 5-3 on the road, 1-3 in neutral games, 12-4 in conference, 46 in the net, 53 in the RPI. Their strength of schedule 67. Their ELO ranking is 51. Quad 1 games 1-4. This is the opportunity to get more quad 1 games. They have to win tonight. Huge game for the Aztecs. Must watch, must go to, must everything. We'll talk about the bubble a little bit later in the show. Let's talk about the Padres a little bit from yesterday. It's so hard to break down some of these. I mean, the webcast that you get on some of these games are so tough. They're playing during our show. We're trying to stay updated with it while doing a show, but when the games are on TV, it's difficult. But overall, what stood out from yesterday's game is the guy that we're going to hear from in just a little bit, Nick Castellanos. Now, you might have heard it already on Ben and Woods. You might have heard it a little bit on Gwynn and Chris, because I heard some comments yesterday. I heard some clips from Nick Castellanos yesterday that gives you a reason to buy in. And we'll talk more about Nick in the next segment. But the offensive standouts and the performances yesterday. Nick Castellanos, 2-run double on the 11th pitch of a 4th inning at bat. That's huge for a guy trying to make a team. That's huge for a guy trying to be an everyday starter. That's huge for playing time. That was a good performance yesterday by Nick Castellanos. Again, there's no guarantee. They talked to Nick before they signed him. Like, look, you got to earn your spot on this team. We're not just going to give it to you. 2-run double, 11 pitch at bat. That's the type of production you love to see. He also singled earlier in the contest. He showed veteran presence, the ability to extend counts, classic professional hitter moment with the 11 pitch at bat. Love to see it at Nick Castellanos. Bryce Johnson, 3 for 8 this spring with a walk. He is another guy that's trying to play his way onto the team. Now, he's on the 40-man roster, and the battle really is Bryce Johnson versus guys like Jose Miranda and guys like Ty France and maybe even a guy like Sung Moon Song. I mean, these are all the players that are battling for bench pieces on this team. Johnson, 3 for 8 in the spring with a walk. He beat out an infield roller. Love to see the hustle out of that kid. Lined one up the middle, walked. He had a pretty good day yesterday. He's battling his way. I still think he has a notch above everybody else because of the year that he had last year. Again, these results somewhat matter, but not a ton. Most of the information that matters is how they've done in regular season MLB games. You have a good track record with Bryce Johnson on that, but he's putting up some decent performances. He also executed a double steal with Miguel Andujar. Aggressive base running. These are the things that Bryce Johnson needs to do to make a team. He has 102 MLB games with the Padres the last 2 seasons. He's fighting for roster relevance. Let's talk about Jose Miranda. 1 for 2 again yesterday. Now, we talked with Sam about Jose Miranda. He's done very well, but I want to see that out of Jose Miranda in a spot where he's going against good pitching. In a spot where he's going against guys that are going to be in major league rotations, in major league bullpens. Haven't seen a lot of that yet. And hopefully the way he has been playing will give him an opportunity to showcase what he could do against some of the better pitchers later on in spring. And I think he's going to get that opportunity with the WBC guys when they leave. 1 for 2 Tuesday was Miranda. He leads the team in spring with a 667 average and a 729 OBP. That's through 4 games. Small sample, yes, but he's consistently squaring baseballs up, and he is consistently producing in these games to give him that opportunity to showcase what he's really got. Now, that's the big difference. We talked about it again with some of these results. Now, he's doing it against lesser pitching, but he has to do it against lesser pitching to give himself the opportunity to do it against better pitching later in the spring, when guys are built up more, when guys are trying to go a little bit more innings, when you're seeing starting pitching that you're going to see in Major League Baseball. When you see bullpen arms, you're going to see in Major League Baseball throughout the year. Another guy to watch. Nick Shell got his first hit of the spring. It was a 9th-inning home run. Former first-rounder of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's 1-for-7 this spring, but he has showed he's flashed some of the power. Tirso Ornelas back with the club after making it through waivers. He got taken off the 40-man roster, which means he had to clear waivers. He did. He got sent back to the Padres. He will likely start in AAA again. He was 1-for-2. He's still in Major League camp, but he's no longer on the 40-man roster. He is definitely a guy that they're going to try to get up to speed to maybe help you later in the year. Sungmoon Song. We've only seen him a couple of times in the spring in a couple of workouts, but it's his first start against the lefty. He went against Shota Imanaga. Likely won't see many lefties early in his career. They're going to stick him in games against right-handed pitching, let him get comfortable at the major league level. He struck out against Imanaga. He walked against the righty. Early development watch. I mean, he is still going to go through a lot of growing pains. With Sungmoon Song, I'm very interested to see what the Padres decide to do in terms of, is he going to be on the major league club, or are they going to pull what the Dodgers did with Ha-Seong Kim and start him off in AAA to get up to speed? That's another part of this equation, because they could put him down in minor league baseball unless, and I didn't see the official contract, and who knows, there might be some details there that because some of these signings, they incorporate, you can't send me down to minor league baseball. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So I don't want to speak out of turn on that. But if he has the ability to go down to the minor leagues, which I think he does, that might be a good play for the Padres at the start of the season to get him up to speed. And maybe it opens the door for a guy like Ty France to be on the team. Gold Glove first baseman last year, trying to get his bat going. Again, we've seen what he could do in a Padres uniform. That was 6 years ago in 2020. He has shown flashes, obviously, but again, part of the roster battle for the Padres. From a pitching side, Marco Gonzalez, who was a non-roster invitee, it was his first appearance since August of 2024 with flexor tendon surgery. Now, the thing is, Marco Gonzalez as a non-roster invitee cannot have a lot of margin for error. At the same time, you have to look at it like you look at J.P. Sears and the outing that he had. He hasn't pitched in a while. Marco Gonzalez hasn't pitched since August of 2024. That is a very long time. He went 1 2/3 innings. He allowed 3 runs. First pitch of the outing was hit off the center field wall. He gave up multiple singles and hit 2 batters. Command inconsistent. He's 34 years old, and he's trying to make a comeback attempt. He wasn't going to be perfect in his first start. With Marco Gonzalez, in order for him to make this team, he has to slowly build and make progress off of the other starts that he had earlier in spring. That's what he has to do. Is he capable of doing that? I don't know. I think he's behind a lot of arms on this roster. Can the Padres afford to have Marco Gonzalez wait around? The one thing with Marco Gonzalez, I'm curious. Is he going to be a pitching version of a Jose Iglesias where he's a veteran and he has opportunities to opt out and go pitch somewhere else, but he stays with the Padres organization in the minor leagues and then, to try to be on a team that's good? I don't necessarily know he is in that realm. Now, I don't know how many major league teams that Marco Gonzalez can help right now. So if he doesn't get picked up, he might have to do some minor league work if he really wants to pull the comeback, and that might only be here in San Diego. We'll see with Marco Gonzalez. I still think he's a long shot to make the team. Ron Marinaccio. Guy's going to be playing for Italy in the World Baseball Classic. He inherited 2 on, 2 out as he escaped that inning clean. Retired all 7 batters he has faced this spring, leaving for Team Italy in a couple of days, and he's quietly putting together a strong case. And we talked about Marinaccio earlier in spring. He, to me, is the frontline guy to potentially make the team if Jason Adams starts on the injured list, which Jason Adams might. He might start on the injured list. Again, it's not whether or not Jason Adams can pitch. He can pitch. It's the other things with Jason Adams. It's being able to field his position. It's being able to, quickly sprint to cover first base, right? So doing all of the work of the field instead of just pitching. He could pitch. I mean, he's throwing bullpens and all that stuff. Is he 100% cleared? Is he feeling 100%? Probably not. But at the same time, he's got to be able to pass a bunch of tests to be cleared to play at a major league level in a major league game. And I don't necessarily know the Padres or he will be ready to do that. I think it's wonderful how much he has already recovered since that injury he had last fall. Last late summer, if you will. But if Adam is an IL candidate to start the year, Marinaccio's probably the guy in line because he is out of options. Bradley Rodriguez, he can start in the minor leagues. He's 22 years old. He throws some serious gas. Pure arm talent. He had 2 strikeouts in 1 inning. Yes, he is I think, a really big threat to make this bullpen because he's got the ability to pitch at a major league level already at 22, but it's got to come down to a numbers game with a lot of these guys. And right now, Bradley Rodriguez is not one of those players that works on the numbers game. Now, who knows? I mean, maybe they decide to let somebody go loose instead of keeping depth. They've done that in the past, but Bradley Rodriguez has to be that much better than guys in order to make this team. Jackson Wolf, player you traded to Pittsburgh for G-Man Choi and Rich Hill, back with the organization last year. He had a clean rebound outing. He retired 4 in a row, entered with an inherited runner. Obviously, former 2023 MLB spot starter for the Padres before they shipped him off. Padres are now 2-3 in the spring. These games are less about wins, more about roster separation. And coming up today, it's Michael King making his spring debut against the Angels in Peoria. Lineup, pretty good. You got a lot of big names in the lineup today for the San Diego Padres. Rotation, pecking order time with Michael King starting today. So we got a lot to talk about on the show today. We're going to talk more about Nick Castellanos when we come back. He met with Ben and Woods a couple of days ago, and he had some interesting things to say. He has a lot of interesting things to say. And when we talked about, we wouldn't even give this guy the league minimum based on like the player that he was in Philadelphia, but some of his answers are showing that this is a life-changing experience, I think, for Nick Castellanos. And what he said, we're going to dive into because I think Philadelphia would love to have the guy that is the Nick Castellanos in San Diego as opposed to what was the Nick Castellanos in Philadelphia. We'll explain more when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Just getting started. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. San Diego FC didn't just open its second MLS season. It made a statement. 5-0 a demolition of CF Montreal at Snapdragon Stadium. And the biggest headline, 19-year-old San Diego native making his first MLS start and pitching a clean sheet, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. Duran Furry, Del Norte High School, former San Diego Loyal. Former San Diego Loyal product, starting in the MLS because Pablo Cisniega was suspended and CJ Dos Santos still recovering from his injury. So Fariz steps in and didn't miss a step. I mean, early save in the 4th minute, commanding catch off the corner in traffic, 2 total saves, a clean sheet, a very, very calm night for Furry between the sticks.
Yeah, and as Mikey Varas said, the head coach of San Diego FC, the moment will never be too big for him. That's not just coach speak, that's belief. And in a league where goalkeeper mistakes get magnified, Furry looked composed, controlled, and confident. This wasn't survival. This was, I belong here in the MLS. And what a great showing, again, from a San Diego kid representing San Diego FC and the city.
Yeah, and again, he got thrown right into the fire immediately. Had to make a huge save right in the opening goes of it. So after that, San Diego FC kind of got their legs under them. Montreal got a red card, and the night was pretty much over for him.
That was the part one of the game on Saturday. Part two in this 4-part series. Anders Dreyer is him, Frank. Young keeper held it down in the back. The attack was clinical. Anders Dreyer picked up right where he left off. He had assist on Chris McVay's opener. He had assist on Marketing Varkson's goal. Constant pressure in transition. Last year, 16 assists, second to only Messi. And he is the face of the franchise. This year, already setting the tone. Dreyer isn't just productive, he's decisive, and when he's pulling the strings, offense moves fast, and you saw that on Saturday in person.
Yeah, and that beautiful goal, I believe it was by Amal Pellegrino at the very end of the first half. He's not going to get credit on the assist for that because it was a shot that was saved, but even the way he took that shot, it's a 2-on-1, and he's coming up the right side, shoots it to the left of the keeper. Keeper has no choice but to deflect it left, which is right where Amal Pellegrino was, who was there for an open tapper. So he had a major part in 3 goals last night. He's only going to get credit for 2 apples, but 3 assists, more or less, last night on Saturday night.
And that brings up a good talking point about the depth being real. And that's the part 3 of this 4-part story about the game on Saturday. What made the game impressive? It wasn't just the score. It was who contributed. You mentioned Pellegrino scored again. Valakari ripping one from distance. 18-year-old,
beautiful shot.
Right to dream grad. And Brian Zamble scoring 2 days after signing with San Diego FC. Young players stepping into meaningful roles. Not a star-dependent soccer team, system soccer. And when Montreal went down to 10 men after the red card, as you mentioned, Frank, at the 53rd minute, San Diego FC buried them. No mercy, 3-goal surge around halftime, and they never looked back. That shows signs of maturity, but also benefiting from the youth movement. And again, the system under Mikey Varas has been so successful in his now year and now in year 2 of being at the helm of San Diego FC.
In those last 2 goals, the one by Oni Valakari, it was a beautiful back heel kind of stop from Ingvartsen that set him up for a beautiful shot. And then, as you mentioned, Brian Zambele, the right to dream grad, the San Diego FC's pride and joy, really. Just a beautiful, beautiful solo effort from him to be able to get a goal from a pretty sharp angle as well, and then to ingratiate himself with the San Diego FC faithful, jumping right into the Ultras after that goal, got the crowd fired up again. That came late in the game, too, to make it 5-0, and Zambelli really took his moment to shine there.
Let's get to part 4. What does this win really mean? Let's keep the perspective. It's just one match, and Montreal went down a man, and they didn't have a good year last year. It's early February, but 5-0, not really accidental. And what stands out, the club continues to lean to the youth, and it keeps working. From Farida Zamble to core pieces from last year, SDFC isn't patching holes with veterans. They're developing, trusting, and accelerating talent. And that's a philosophy that San Diego FC has had a lot of success with, which asks the question, Frank, is San Diego FC officially building the most sustainable model in the MLS, or are we getting carried away after one blowout?
Might be getting a little bit too ahead of ourselves, but there's a lot of reason to think that it would work, because you're seeing young guys able to fill holes. Luca Bombino's another young player. Pilcher, who didn't play last night, he's another young guy. Zambele, again, coming up out of the right to dream, came in as a
3 on a Wednesday. Should be a fun Wednesday today. I'm tired from yesterday. College baseball on a Tuesday night is just different. It's different, guys. It's just different. I feel bad for Bobby Cressy. You want to know why I feel bad for Bobby Cressy? I saw him last night. He's the organist now for UCSD. He's helping out his alma mater, which I love. That's great, Frank, right? Isn't that great?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Welcome to college baseball. It's awesome. It's a different type of sport. It's a niche audience. Very niche audience. People love college baseball. If they like college baseball, they love college baseball. They are diehard fans of college baseball. But it's really a niche audience. There's not a lot of casual college baseball fans. It's a different game. Last night, I think was the first time for Bobby Cressy where he was having second thoughts. Our game last night, anybody want to guess how long our game went last night? It ended up going 10 innings.
Do you have a pitch clock?
There is a pitch clock in college baseball.
Okay.
I'm tired this morning.
Are the commercial breaks shorter or are they?
They're shorter.
They are.
Yeah. It's on ESPN Plus. I mean, our audio on USDToreros.com, as I can break whenever I want. It's under 2 minutes between breaks.
It's 1:45 in baseball, but in the majors, 2.5, 2:45 maybe.
Nope. Usually is higher.
3:10.
Higher.
How much higher? Like, is it like
a lot higher?
Oh, dear God Almighty!
Game started at 6:07.
6:07.
Game, and that was when the first pitch hit the glove.
Okay.
Because I write it down in my book all the time.
Right on time at 6:07.
Right. The game was supposed to start at 6:05. The kid was late getting the starting bit. 6:07 start time. Final out was made. Or walk-off happened.
He's getting ready for a career in Toronto.
Yeah. The walk-off happened at 10:57. The game was 4 hours
and
50 minutes. I think officially it's like I think officially it was like 4:40 something. 4 hours and 50 minutes. Unbelievable.
Wow.
It wasn't even, it went to extra innings. It was a close game, but it wasn't even like it was an exciting game because it's a Tuesday night. And to make matters worse, the strike zone was like a tin can. I could not believe how tight the zone was. And here's the deal. I know it was bad because Brock Ungrich was upset about it at the beginning of the game. He let it be heard. Eric Newman was upset about it later in the game. Both times, the home plate umpire screamed back at them.
Did either one of them get the old boot just to end it for themselves? Oh, okay.
No.
Well,
and you know what? This is when you know it's so bad. Both Brock Ungrich and Eric Newman, Brock stopped complaining at the 2-hour mark. Eric stopped complaining at about the 2.5-hour mark.
So they just gave
stopped.
up.
I mean, there was bad calls after that. Stopped talking about it. They knew it was going to be bad. They stopped. They didn't even say anything the rest of the game. Both of them had their one moment. Like, I don't want to make it sound like Eric Newman argued longer. His arguments were just later in the game. To a point where there was at one point where Coach Newman goes, "You're going to yell at me, but not him." And it happened so long after the fact when Brock yelled that I'm pretty sure Eric just forgot that earlier in the game, the home plate umpire yelled at Brock. But it had been so long because the game was going on for so long that it just happened to forget. Multiple reviews. I mean, college baseball, you have all of these pitchers that pitch because it's like the time to try to get guys in to see if they can pitch. Right? I mean, that's when you do it. And they already don't throw a lot of strikes because they're learning how to pitch. They're college kids, right? You can't get that upset about it. This is very expected on Tuesday night. You got to expand the zone a little bit, my guy. I mean, at 3 hours and 15 minutes, it should have been like, you know what? We're calling a lot of strikes here. This is getting. I mean, it was just like barely off the corner. And it was for both teams. There was a couple of times where I'm like, strike one to low blinder. No, they call it a ball. One of it was bad too. There was one time where the Toreros are they're in the field, right?
Yeah.
USD kid pipes a strike. The umpire doesn't call it a strike, calls it a ball. There's groaning from the dugout. The scoreboard marked it as a strike. Everybody in the building thought it was a strike except for the guy behind home plate who called it a ball. And the scoreboard had to frantically change it over to a ball. College baseball, man. 4 hours and 50 minutes. Bobby Cressy was running out of things to play on the organ. I got to a point where I was like, yeah, and this, so-and-so, it's his 7th plate appearance. His first plate appearance, which was 3 hours ago, he struck out. Does that even matter? It's like he's playing a different game right now. Shout out to the Aztecs beating UCLA last night, though. That was nice.
There you go. Congratulations. What was it, 4-3 was the final?
Yeah, they were up 4-1. UCLA started to come back a little bit. They held UCLA to 3 hits. That's really impressive. Lot better than it was on Sunday for San Diego State from the pitching standpoint. Kevin Vance doing a good job with the pitching staff over there for the Aztecs. So UCLA has 2 losses as the number 2 team in the country. And guess who they're 2? The two of the 3 teams in San Diego. Teams, yeah. It's great. It's great. LSU lost to McNeese State. Arkansas lost to Arkansas State. I mean, you had a lot of upsets in college baseball. All right. We want to get to some sound from Nick Castellanos. There was a lot of important things that I thought Nick said in this interview. And I think a little bit, here's the deal. Like Chris Ello mentioned a couple of things from Nick Castellanos. And here's where I'm going to have to push back on Chris a little bit. Okay. There's some things that Nick talked about that I want to get into where Chris is like, how could you cut this guy if you're Philadelphia? And like, this guy sounds like a great team player. And I was like, I get that. Like, I get that. That's exactly what it sounds like. And I love the fact that Nick Castellanos has changed his mindset. But we can't sit here and pretend like that's what he was. I mean, there's obviously a reason why Philadelphia was kind of tired of Nick Castellanos, right? That doesn't mean he can't change. I think he's changing. I like everything that he's saying right now. We're going to play some of that for you here in just a bit. But this guy's he hasn't been the same guy his entire career. I mean, he has gone through a lot of ups and downs. And to just say that, this guy's a great team player. They must have made all. It's like, what are we doing? Come on, Chris. They're not making stuff up on this guy. He obviously did what he did in Philadelphia, but I think he is changing in the right direction. I mean, it could have been a humbling experience for him in, getting sent somewhere else and having a team pay you almost $20 million to play against them. But Nick Castellanos had said all the right things in his interview with Ben and Woods. The play is there right now. Pretty good start to spring training. Had a great day yesterday. And there are a lot of things that he said that I think are important and why I think this is a changing move for Nick Castellanos. We'll play that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Big week across the board for UCSD and the Tritons athletics programs as it was a mix of statement wins, a couple of tough losses, and momentum swings as postseason play creeps closer. Let's start with men's basketball. They have made the Big West Conference a little bit more shaky with a huge win at the Brent Event Center, taking down UC Irvine 71-69 as freshman Hudson Mays hit a game winner with 13 seconds left to knock off first place UC Irvine. Huge win for UCSD, really putting a wrench in the standings of the Big West Conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're up to 19-9. You're 9-7 in Big West play, and you clinch a spot in the Big West Championship in Henderson. So this was also win number 100 for them as a Division I program, which is a major, major milestone. So congratulations to everyone with the basketball program.
Yeah, Tritons jumped out early. They hit threes. They dominated the glass. They built a 13-0 run. Irvine responded as good teams do, but UCSD closed the deal. That's the key. They executed late. Mays finished with 17 and 8 boards. Alex Chaikin added 15, and the team continues to show that it can win away from home. 11 road wins now, and the takeaway is it's not just a competitive program at D1 anymore. They're starting to turn into a dangerous program. It's going to take a little bit more time, especially with the new coach at UCSD and where everything lands up. But first step in this season for the basketball team is always make the Big West tournament, because not every school makes the Big West tournament in the conference. That's check number one. Number two, try to make a run to get yourself back in the NCAA tournament after winning the Big West tournament last year. As for women's basketball, first time that they lost, right, in a long time. They fall to Irvine 70-68 at home at Lion Tree Arena. And this one obviously stings because UCSD led for over 27 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. They shot better from the field. They dominated in the paint, fast break points, assists, almost every single category. They lost it on the free throw line, though. Irvine, 35 free throws. UC San Diego, only 14, and that was your major difference in the game over the weekend.
Yeah, Michaela Rose had 16 points for UCSD. Erin Condren posted yet another double-double. They did well enough to win, except they didn't get a couple of plays to go their way, and they couldn't overcome the free throw disparity. And that was the big factor right there as they lose by 2. The women are still 18-8, 13-3 in conference play, still in a great position. But if games are going to be this tight in March, can they survive that kind of gap at the free throw line? But they have to find ways to get themselves to the free throw line too. I mean, some of it could be, we're not getting the calls that we want, but also playing the style of game, you've got to get yourself to the free throw line sometimes, especially in basketball. As for baseball, Frank, a couple of missed opportunities for Eric Newman and his crew. On the diamond, they drop a 5-2 decision to Western Michigan to close out the Tony Gwynn Legacy Series. Gabe Camacho continues to swing it well. 3rd homer of the season. Pitching wasn't bad either. Nathan Reese struck out 7, but they stranded 10 runners.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we've seen downtown quite a bit, especially last year, stranding runners on base. They also had, if I can go back and see here, they also had a couple of close losses to, darn it.
They beat Creighton on Friday 8-7. That was a thrilling game. Yeah. And then they had a close loss on Saturday. I think it was against Omaha, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that
they
would
lost
have been
to Omaha close. But they got the win against UCLA early in the season. They're going to continue to play good teams. I mean, USD is going to be high in the RPI right now with the start that they have had. It's going to be a good game on Tuesday at Triton Ballpark at 6 o'clock. I'll have the call on USDToreros.com. Of course, you can watch the game on ESPN+. But they're 2-4. They're competitive. They're not finishing innings, and now they head into a tough road stretch with the Toreros. And then a tough stretch coming up. But after they host USD, they got to go to Lafayette to take on the Raging Cajuns, which is not that's no easy venture. And they also got to take on Cincinnati, who's off to a pretty good start in Big 12 as a Big 12 member in baseball. So they did well against Cincinnati last year. They're going to be able to do it on the road. We'll see if they can replicate it. As for softball, offensive firepower, but defensive gaps. Softball dropped 2 at the Mary Nutter Classic, 7-6 to Seattle, 10-3 to Rutgers. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Want to mention that all of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. I want to talk more about Nick Castellanos. Again, the player that he was reported to be in Philadelphia is a player that I didn't want part of the Padres. And I mentioned when the Padres then signed him the next day, great timing on my part, by the way. When they signed him the next day, I released the video of the natural reaction. And the reaction was, if he buys in, if he uses this opportunity as change, if he, really wants to embrace this opportunity, it could work out for the Padres. It's a win-win. Because if he doesn't, you can cut him loose. He doesn't have the leverage that he had in Philadelphia. And I think Nick Castellanos has embraced this opportunity. And there's a lot of stuff that he had with Ben and Woods that I thought was awesome from a couple of days ago. And if you missed it, and again, you guys are driving all around, it's different day parks, different times you listen to the radio. We're going to play some of that for you because I think there's a lot of things from Nick Castellanos that shows not that he's like a super changed guy, but that he's embracing this opportunity with the San Diego Padres. And the first thing that they asked them, or at least the first clip that we're going to play, is how things have gone so far with the Padres. There's a lot of this stuff that I think is really good. I think he says all the right things, and I think his actions are starting to do a lot of the right things. And we'll explain more as we go through these clips. But here's Nick Castellanos on how they've gone so far with the Padres.
Awesome. Yeah. I think, the organization that AJ has put together is pretty first class. I have a lot of good relationships with the coaches just because they all have been playing recently, that from the minor league coordinators, even from our staff now in the big leagues. So, I really enjoy talking to players that or coaches now that have put it down, let's say, just like within the last decade, only because like their emotions are still intact, so not only I think can they start talking to you from a physical standpoint, but there's also a lot of emotional relatability there because they're still connected. They were on the field going through it, playing the game recently.
Yeah, he loves that. That was a big part. Remember, that was a big complaint in Philadelphia, was he didn't respect like the coaches that didn't play. We brought that up, that, well, there wouldn't be a problem here in San Diego. Why, Frank? A lot of these guys have just recently gotten out of the league. I think that's another step in the right direction, obviously, for this working, is it kind of plays into what he likes in an organization anyway. So I think he's embracing that role. He obviously respects the coaching staff. These are guys that have played in the major leagues, most of them, which not a lot of staffs have. They have a decent amount, but the Padres have obviously a good number. And then with the manager, of course, and Craig Stammen recently playing. I mean, these are some of these guys have played like while Nick Castellanos was still playing, right? Like, these guys were still playing when Nick Castellanos was coming up in the major leagues. So I think that's definitely a plus for the Padres. Couple of other things too. I don't really care about the analytics side of this. I mean, if he gets bogged down by it, I mean, baseball players have their own opinions on that. But he's learning how to play first, right? I mean, that's kind of where he fits on this team. Is we'll bring you in to be a first baseman. He comes up as a shortstop. He played in left field. He played in right field. He's moved all over the place. But this is him talking about what it's been like learning how to play first base.
I think I can do it. Talking with AJ before I signed, it's something that I believe I can do. Now, that being said, I am not saying that it's not going to take a lot of work and there's not going to be some growing pains that come with it. But I'm definitely somebody who's not afraid to work. I had to learn how to play the outfield in the big leagues.
True.
Amateur, I was a shortstop. I got drafted. Detroit put me kind of all over the place because my bat was ahead of my glove. So, A-ball, I was at third. Double A, I was in right. Triple A, I was in left. Big league debut in left. And then my rookie year, I'm back at third base. So I have like 500 games or so on the dirt. And then at that point in time, the way the Tigers roster was set up, we traded for a kid named Jamie Candelario, who at the time, our front office really believed that this switch hitter could have an incredible career. And they thought that I was athletic enough to be able to play right field. So 7 years have gone by. I've been playing right field. And now, honestly, like Craig just said, like, hey, you ready to go back into the outfield? I'll do whatever you need. I'll play first. I'll play left. Tatis needs a blow. I'll play right. I'll DH. Whatever.
I love that attitude, right? I mean, that's the attitude he has to have. And sometimes things happen where that all of a sudden switches, right? Where you all of a sudden don't have the leverage. And maybe it's to stick it to the other team. I don't think he's as close to a guy like Rafael Devers. I think it's a decent comparison, but not, the situations are a little bit different. But you're talking about a guy like Rafael Devers refused to play anything but third base in the Red Sox. They sent him elsewhere, which could be a humbling experience for him. I don't think it's as much as maybe Nick Castellanos getting paid to play somewhere else. And now all of a sudden, he's playing first base. You want to play? You know what, Nick? You know what, Rafael? We need you to play first. Nah, forget you. I'm playing third. I'm a third baseman. Ships him off to San Francisco. Hey, you know what, Rafael? Kind of need you to play first base. Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Let's go do it. A little bit of that's part of this, but I like the fact that this is great. He's embraced this role. He's embraced the role. He's embraced the opportunity. It sounds like He's one of the first people at the facility every single day. He's putting the work in. The actions and the words right now are showing that this guy wants to be a member of the Padres and that people could change. I mean, I can't sit here and say that this is the exact same guy that was in Philadelphia. And according to reports, it sounds like it wasn't. But based on what he has said so far of learning how to play first, being a DH, getting some reps out in the outfield, being a team player, I'm going to tell you right now, Philadelphia hears that. They probably want this guy back in Philadelphia. If he was going to be that type of player there, they probably never would have let him go. But maybe it was this entire process. Philadelphia saying, we're going to pay you $20 million to go play for somebody else. The article in The Athletic about the situation down in Miami and maybe some of the embarrassment of that in the national media. His apology letter. I mean, this is a lot of stuff thrown at him in one off season. And now he's got this different approach. And I like what I'm seeing right now in Nick Castellanos. I like this attitude. I like that he wants to be part of it. And it sounds like from Manny Machado earlier today on Ben and Woods, and we're going to play some sound from that later, Nick Castellanos is really bought in to being here in San Diego. Let's talk more about that. Nick Castellanos talked about his passion and wanting to win, leading to how things played out in Philadelphia. I mean, here's his side of the story.
I think the biggest lesson I learned in Philly is that when I see something, I need to speak up. I need to, because if I don't, I swallow it. And then if I don't say it again, I swallow something else. And I'll keep swallowing until the point I can't no more. And sometimes when it bubbles over, it comes out quite colorful.
I can relate, actually, very much to that.
And so far, I feel like I've done a great job here. There's been some things that I've quick, and when you handle it in the moment, it's small. It's easy. It's when it starts compiling, and it just gets swept under the rug for, months, sometimes years, and then when when it pops off, it pops off.
Bubbles over.
Yeah.
Is that going to be welcome in the clubhouse? I think it is, to an extent. The thing is, too, like the Padres are just the vibes in San Diego are different than they are in Philadelphia. I mean, as much as Nick Castellanos was a problem in Philly, Philly's also a problem. Their best player, who's up right now, by the way, against the Tigers, and Bryce Harper, that's their franchise, face of the franchise guy, is upset with the front office because the front office popped off and said he's not an elite player anymore. I mean, you're not going to hear that from the Padres front office about their players. I don't think anybody I don't think AJ Preller's going to be like, yeah, man, he's good. He's not an elite player anymore. There's problems playing in Philly too. Not to warrant the actions of Nick Castellanos. Both could be true and both could also be wrong. Wrong in a sense that not the decisions that Nick Castellanos has made and the Phillies have made are both not great decisions on some of this stuff. Last clip for you on Nick Castellanos, and then we'll discuss a little bit further what he's learned about himself since joining the Padres. Again, I think this is a great opportunity for him, and I think he's embraced it so far. Here's what Nick has said since joining the Padres, and he's only been here for a couple of weeks.
Honestly, nothing really. I feel, I don't want to say like I know myself perfectly inside and out, but I definitely know my habits, and I think it's just like I say, for me, the big thing is to just, I need to speak, here's what I'm feeling. That doesn't mean that you need to agree. That doesn't mean that I'm even looking for a response, but I got it out.
Yep.
There it is. It's out, now the group can address it. The person that I said it can address it wherever, handshake, have a good day, all the best. There's no intent behind it, whatever. It's just there, Communication,
Yeah.
Sure. And if I do that and I continue and I'm honest with how I feel and I share the things that I need to be felt, I feel like I can stay focused and walk my line.
We'll see if that plays out in San Diego. But Frank, we've played a lot of that sound. You and I have heard it on the other shows so far. Again, he's saying all the right things. It sounds like a lot of the actions are leading to all the right things. If he could keep this up throughout the year, this is going to be a good ad for the Padres. And this is everything that we said before the Padres signed Nick Castellanos. We were against signing the guy that was in Philly, but it sounds like there's a little bit of a change for Nick Castellanos as he's put the brown and gold on.
Yeah, and change of scenery sometimes is enough to do that. I mean, sometimes you go to a place, you get so set in a certain way that you kind of lose where you are. And then when you get unceremoniously kicked out, as he was in Philadelphia, that's kind of like a hard factory reset. Like you find yourself again, you start to look back at things you did wrong and trying to change that. And that's exactly what it sounds like he has done. Now, the actions have shown that he is, at least for the short term, taken that to heart and started to work on it. Now we'll see what comes of it as the season goes on. And if we see another outburst of this, maybe it was just a slide backwards, which happens. I mean, it happens to everybody. Or if it's a sign that he's starting to feel a little bit too comfortable and is starting to get back into his old ways. So it's a waiting game right now, but definitely the signs of what we're seeing and hearing out of Nick Castellanos for the moment are very, very encouraging.
Again, I think there's blame to be on every side of that situation. I mean, obviously Philadelphia's, from other entities, has not been that great of a place. And that doesn't take away from the fact that a lot of Nick Castellanos' problems are his problems. They were his problems in Philly.
Yes.
We're not saying that it was only because he was in Philadelphia. No, I mean, he brought a lot of that upon himself.
Philadelphia is Philadelphia, though.
It is Philadelphia.
That's from the New Yorker, though. So
it didn't help Philly's cause that Dombrowski was out there popping off about his best player not too far after that. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes guys don't jive with certain clubhouses. And it could be an open opportunity here for San Diego, who has probably a lighter clubhouse than a lot of other teams. But again, as I mentioned, a lot of the stuff that he did in Philadelphia was his own problems. I mean, those were issues that you can't have happen here in San Diego. And if he learns from that, he's going to be a good asset to this team. From an on-field perspective, he still has some stuff left. He wasn't very good last year on the field to an extent, but also there was a lot of off-field issues for Nick Castellanos in the clubhouse and all that stuff. The report is, Ben Wood said that he's been showing up first every single day. I mean, they're there super early. Their show starts at 6 in the morning. This week, they saw Nick Castellanos show up first every single day. Maybe he's just doing that for around the cameras. Who knows? But so far, all the reports we're getting about Nick Castellanos from his teammates, from obviously his mindset and what we've heard, which I think you take less than the actions, and from our media with how they have seen Nick Castellanos show up and everything like that, it sounds like this is an organization that is more suited for Nick Castellanos, which also plays a factor into some people's actions. That's also a factor in a lot of companies. Sometimes the environment doesn't suit some of your employees, and it doesn't work, and they have to go somewhere else. That doesn't mean they will never have success in other areas. There are some organizations that people thrive in, and there are some organizations that people don't, based on the personalities of said person.
Yeah, he's trying to make the best first impression right now, which is what you would be doing in any brand new situation. It's a matter of time before, I mean, when you started, like, just say when you start a new relationship, right? You're on your best behavior at all times. But as you get more and more comfortable with that other person, you start to show who you really are. You start to, the guard comes down a little bit. And that's where you start to see some of the faults and whatnot. And we're still very much in that honeymoon phase, that early phase where everyone is still on their best behavior as far as Nick Castellanos coming here. It's just too short a sample size for someone to say, yes, he has genuinely changed. Early signs are very good. Early signs are very encouraging. And we all hope that we're getting the best form of him off the field, because usually if you get the best form of somebody off the field, you're getting the best form of them on the field. But it's too early to make a firm decision on whether or not he genuinely has changed.
I will say this. The best way you're going to be able to gauge this, when they're on a big losing streak and nothing does well.
100%.
That's going to be the biggest way. Spring training, You could say and do all the right things. You could show up early, all that stuff. The biggest tester, and I like the way he's bought in. I'm not going to say he doesn't. But the biggest tester will be middle of May, teams on a 6-7 game losing streak. Nobody can hit. Some boos rain down. What is the clubhouse going to be like in those situations? That will be the biggest tester for this. When we come back, we got more to report on the Padres baseball. 11 o'clock, broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We got a lot to get to still on the Braden Surprenant show. A lot of sound from spring training that the boys did on Bennett Woods. Pretty good stuff. And some interesting stuff on Nick Castellanos. I mean, the biggest deal with him was, can he be a part of this team? I mean, you're trying to put together the roster, and there's a lot of question marks out there with a lot of these players. A lot of question marks with a lot of these players. I mean, this is a team that you put together that is not going to have everything working the best. There's some problems with, not really problems, but there's no guarantees with a lot of players on this roster. The ceiling is high, but the risk is also high with a lot of these guys. And the whole thing about why we talked about Nick Castellanos, I mean, so far he's off to a good start. I think a lot of people wanted to know that. What's going on in spring training. So anyway, we'll talk about the Aztecs a little bit later. They have a must-win game against Utah State. We'll get into that a little bit more. But overall, Frank, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but when it comes to the lineup and everything like that and putting this team together, you got to work through a lot of personal stuff with these guys too. As can you fit this roster together? And a lot of times for AJ Preller, he's gotten a lot of talent, but sometimes a lot of the personalities haven't jived. So far, seems like Nick Castellanos is fitting with the team.
Yeah, everything's looking good right now. I mean, that's really all you could say is that everything is starting off very, very well.
Let's talk about the lineup real quick. People already, I mean, what did we say? We said it on Thursday. Don't overanalyze the lineups. There's a lot of guys that are going to go play in the World Baseball Classic, right? Today's lineup. Did you see today's lineup?
I did not yet, no.
It's interesting. It's not, you got somebody new batting third today. You had to take a guess. Don't look it up. Take a guess. Who's batting third today?
Fernando.
No.
Wow.
Surprisingly.
Xander?
He's batting leadoff. Merrill's batting third today.
There you go.
I don't mind it. My entire computer just shut down, so I'm going to have to use it off my phone. The lineup today for the Padres, I think it's pretty interesting. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a lengthy lineup. Michael King starting today against the Angels. Xander's batting leadoff, playing shortstop. Manny Machado's batting second, playing third base. Jackson Merrill batting third, playing center field. Tatis still in the fourth spot, playing right. Gavin Sheets batting fifth, plays first. Jake Cronenworth batting sixth, plays second. Ramon Laureano is batting seventh, playing left. Luis Camposano is catching, batting eighth. Ty France DHing, batting ninth. That is the first time you have seen all MLB guys in a lineup so far. Is it not? I mean,
yeah,
there's no Schnell, there's no Solak, there's no some random guy. I mean, the only difference is you got Camposano catching and not Fermin, but he's got to get his starts too. That, I want to say close to an opening day roster, but that's a pretty interesting lineup. Now, people are complaining like, I know it's spring training, but if we pull some of this shenanigans through the regular seasons, I'm going to be upset. Come on.
Wait, what?
I saw somebody on Twitter that was like, I get that this is spring training, but if we try to pull some of the shenanigans in this lineup in the regular season, I'm going to be upset.
What about today's lineup?
Talking about today's lineup.
Oh,
if we do this in the regular season,
get over it.
Touch some grass.
Get over it.
Some people were chirping back at this guy. Like,
this is when you do that stuff, though. This is when you mess with the lineup, 100%. When it doesn't matter.
A good thing. Here's a couple of things I want to bring up about the lineup, because everybody wants to talk about the lineup. I thought Gwen and Chris brought up a good part about the lineup yesterday when I was driving home, and I thought Darren Smith brought up a good thing about the lineup. Here are the two factors of the lineup. This is why I don't care about the lineup as much. We've talked about it. It's fun. We talk about it on the talk show. When you fill a 4-hour talk show, you're talking about a lot of things that people want to discuss themselves. I view talk shows as playing GM, playing manager, playing commissioner. I mean, These are the conversations that you have with buddies all the time when you're talking. This is what people that love about sports talk about when it comes to sports. Now, let's talk about this for a second. Lineup stuff. Let me ask this question, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the first inning, does the batting order matter?
In reality, no.
It doesn't. It doesn't matter. Aside from the first inning, does the batting order matter?
Effectively not.
It
no.
doesn't. The only part that actually matters is how many times a guy comes to bat, and that usually affects the leadoff spot, does it not?
Yes.
So, the leadoff spot, because it's interesting. The interesting thing when it comes to the lineup thing that Darren Smith brought up about the difference between the number 1 spot and the number 4 spot. And I didn't look into this myself, but I agree with it because it's only a matter, like, if you look at the top 3 spots in the order, they're going to come up more. Like, number 1's going to come up more times than number 2, number 3, number 4, all the way down the list. And you want your best players coming up as many times as possible in the game, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Darren Smith did the math, and he said that the difference between the number 1 spot in the order, and it might have been for the Padres or just baseball in general, and the number 4 spot is 50 additional at-bats. So, if you hit Fernando leadoff, which the Padres did last year, he is going to get 50 additional at-bats on the season. That is a significant amount of at-bats for a guy that is one of your better players. So, I think if you look at it from a traditional standpoint, what's the traditional standpoint for the leadoff guy? It's like it's a fast guy, get on base, high OBP, doesn't need to be a big power hitter, more of a slap hitter, right? Number 2 is a more pure hitter. 3 is your best hitter. 4 is the cleanup guy. He's going to hit the grand slam that drives everybody in, right? And then 5 through 7 is kind of like, all right, a couple more power guys. And then maybe, 7's a different type of, hitter. Maybe you put your worst hitter 8, you go second leadoff 9. I mean, these are all of the conversations that people have when they put up their lineup. But aside from the first inning, it doesn't really matter. In terms of like how you organize in between, maybe when you want guys leading off, maybe more, or you want guys more near the middle, the bottom of the order when it comes to driving in guys. But you want to get your guy up as many times as possible in a game. You cannot control at-bats in good situations. You could try to finagle your lineup for it, but you can't control that. And what I mean by that is, like RBIs, I think RBIs are an arbitrary stat. Do you believe in RBIs? I don't. I don't think that's it. I think it's interesting to see if a guy could drive in runs, but does a batter that comes to the plate, Frank, have any control over whether or not there are guys on base in front of him?
No.
He has zero control over that. How you put the lineup together is how you put the lineup together, but if you have Fernando bat leadoff, and I've always been an advocate of batting Fernando leadoff because he's your best player. He might be your best player. You can argue that. Fine. I think Fernando's your best player. I'd like to see him up as many times as possible. I think he's a threat to start a game. But aside from the first time through, he could lead off. He could come up with runners in scoring position. It doesn't really matter. Like, there are going to be some times where Fernando comes up with guys on base. There's going to be multiple of those times. And in a perfect world, you'd like to see that in the first inning, but you don't live in a perfect world. Fernando has no control over who gets in front of him. I guess you could make the argument that 7, 8, 9 have a less likely opportunity of getting on base than 1, 2, 3, and so therefore you put him at 4th, so he's going to have more of a chance to hit with runners in scoring position than maybe somebody at the top of the lineup. But once the game starts, you're going to have random guys leading innings off. It's almost better just to stack your players in order of who's the best all the way down, and just we're trying to get as many guys at bats at the top as possible. But I find it funny, like you look at the lineup today, and again, aside from the first inning, does it really matter who comes up? And so if it just comes down to at-bats and you have no control over who gets on base, who do you want to get the most at-bats? Because you can't control at-bats in big situations. You can't control that. You can't finagle your lineup to do that. I think it's better to have your guy up as many times as possible. I think you're taking a risk with all right, well, 1, 2, 3 should be up more than 7, 8, 9. But at the end of the day, you can't really make that happen. Is it better to just have your best guy get as many at-bats as possible on the roster, Frank?
More or less, yeah.
I think so. I think the biggest problem for Fernando last year batting leadoff wasn't him batting leadoff. I think it was the guy behind him. I think it's the fact that he had no protection. So, yes, to an extent, as somebody has said in the chat about how it's about trying to find, it's too much finagling to try to make that happen. I'd rather have Fernando bat in the first inning. And I'd rather have him get 50 additional at-bats on the year because he has a more likelihood of getting at-bats with runners on base by getting more at-bats than by not getting as many at-bats. 50 additional at-bats to the season, that is going to up or increase your opportunity to come up with guys on base more than if you had less at-bats. I understand the thinking and the logic, but outside the first 3 outs in the first inning, this thing changes a lot. Do you want Xander Bogaerts getting 50 more at-bats than Fernando? That's the question. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah.
You want Xander Bogaerts getting 50 more at-bats than Fernando?
Why not? Have fun. Have fun with it. Roll the dice.
We love Xander.
Yeah, where's the Xander show?
We're the Xander Stan show. Yeah, okay. I mean, a different example. I'd rather have, to me, I would put the leadoff guy as one of those players. I mean, look at the other teams. Who bats leadoff for the Braves? It's been a lot of Ronald Acuna, has it not?
Yeah, more or less.
It's been a lot of Ronald Acuna. Who's the best player in the Braves? When he's healthy. I know your availability. Your abilities, your availability. I get it. I get it. Ronald Acuna Jr. is their best player. I'm not talking about pitchers, bro.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Who's the best player in the Dodgers?
Ohtani.
When does he hit?
Number 1.
He hits first. So you're going to get at-bats. And the more at-bats you have, the better it is. And again, it does. You can think from statistically, like they're going to have a better chance to get guys up in front. Here's the other thing, too. This is another big reason why I like Cronenworth batting ninth. Because you put him in front of Fernando. And I think Freddie Fermin at 8 is a guy that's going to get on base a little bit more. I don't think the 7, 8, 9 in previous years are going to be catastrophic failures for the Padres. If you have Fermin bat 8 and you have Cronenworth bat 9, those are 2 guys in front of Fernando that could get on base. I also don't mind Xander Bogaerts batting leadoff either, but if you're going to make the change to have Fernando not bat leadoff, it's not about him driving in runs. It's about him getting lesser at-bats. Do you want him to get 50 less at-bats if it means he might get a little bit more in the RBI column, which is not a guarantee? That's kind of the big question here. Again, lineup today for the Padres. If I try to pull it up, I think my computer is done taking a nap in the middle of the day, which is always so grand.
Okay, listen, naps in the middle of the day are pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome, unless you're a computer during a talk show from 10 to 2. Not allowed. I did not approve that PTO for the computer. Xander Bogaerts batting leadoff, Manny Machado batting second, Jackson Merrill batting third, Fernando batting fourth, Gavin Sheets batting fifth, Jake Cronenworth batting sixth, Ramon Laureano batting seventh, Luis Camposano batting eighth, Ty France batting 9. I honestly wouldn't mind flipping Laureano up. I like Cronenworth 9. I really do, because the guy gets on base and he's a pest at the bottom of the order. I don't think he's that big of a difference in some of the spots in front of him, if that makes sense. Like, You're going to see Laureano bat all over the place, I think, this year. I think he's going to bat in the top 4. He'll probably bat at some point in the top 3. You can use him all over the place. I think Cronenworth for the Padres is in a best spot at 9. I think you put Fermin at 8. And then whether like your Gavin Sheets, Ty France, maybe platoon split is somewhere at 7. Or maybe it's Castellanos at 7. I think that's a well-rounded lineup. And well, I'm curious to see how the Padres do today against the Angels. Looking forward to seeing this. And Michael King's back. We're going to talk more about this in just a little bit. And the other thing, too, is I want to get into the Gavin Sheets situation with this team. Because Gavin Sheets came into spring training as almost an everyday player, and now they have added some competition. Based on last year, is Gavin Sheets an everyday player or the perfect platoon bat? Which one benefits the Padres more? I think Gavin Sheets is a wild card. I mean, we're talking about Castellanos and talking about Ty France potentially making the team, right? And what do you do with Bryce Johnson? And, Miguel Andujar's going to bat against lefties. He's already raked against lefties, but where's he going to fit? We had all these conversations about who could play first base. They brought in Ty France. They're letting Nick Castellanos get reps at first. Gavin Sheets was the guy slated to get first base reps and be the guy at first base. Are they worried about him going against lefties? With everything going around, the Padres, the guy that we haven't talked about a lot is Gavin Sheets. I mean, he was the breakout story last year. Remember that? I mean, that's the other thing, too, with this roster. He was a non-roster invitee. I heard Tony talk about this the other day on Gwynn and Chris. Did anybody think Gavin Sheets was going to make the roster last year, Frank? Did you think he was going to make the roster last year?
Nope.
I was like, I guess he could. I thought the Padres would be in a little bit of a jam if Gavin Sheets was making the roster just because of he got let go by the White Sox, who were the worst team in Major League Baseball history. And you were taking a chance. And how many of those times have we seen those guys not really pan out for the Padres? But Gavin Sheets made his way onto the lineup. He became one of the better players. And then he was the relative shoe-in to be the everyday first baseman. But they're giving Nick Castellanos reps. They're giving Ty France reps. So the question is Gavin Sheets an everyday player? Or is he the perfect platoon bat? We'll answer that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego State Sports Station 97 through the Fan. San Diego Gulls are hitting the stretch run of the AHL season, and the past week has shown exactly what this team is capable of: resiliency, depth scoring, and playoff-style hockey. But it's also exposed some rough edges, closing out games and maintaining intensity on back-to-back nights. Let's break down what happened and what's coming up next. First off, they made a roster move. Ian Moore has been reassigned. Big news out of Anaheim. Defenseman Ian Moore was reassigned to the San Diego Gulls before the beginning of last week. 24-year-old Moore has 9 points in 41 NHL games this season and recorded his first NHL goal back in November. Add some size, 6'3", 205, and experience to a Gulls defensive core that has been productive but could use some depth. He was at Harvard, and he scored 56 points in 122 games, so he's capable of moving the puck and contributing offensively.
Yeah, absolutely. At the same time, Colson Petrie and Connor Smith were sent to the ECHL affiliate in Tulsa to balance out their roster. Moore's arrival is definitely worth watching because he can provide the kind of two-way stability that the Gulls need as they make this playoff push as the AHL season starts to wind down.
It was a tough week last week for the Gulls. I mean, they came up empty a couple of times. They did get a point, at least in the shootout loss to San Jose, and that's where we're going to start. Back on February 18th, last week, during the week, the Barracuda beat the Gulls 4-3 in shootouts. Ryan Carpenter scored with 4.5 seconds left to tie it. Gulls take 1 point. Carpenter now has 27 points. Roland McKeown leads defenseman with 19 points. Justin Bailey continues to lead the team with goals at 17. Goals set at 22, 15, 6, and 4 after that game, keeping them right there in the Pacific Division picture. But Coach McIlvain stressed lessons in closing out leads, noting that the second period gave San Jose a window back into the game. And Carpenter's late heroics show the team's resilience, but they need to finish stronger. I mean, we've been discussing the goals these last couple of weeks. They've been resilient, but they're not getting it in the win column, Frank.
Yeah, there's always that one bogey period, it seems like. And in this case against San Jose, it was the second period. Also a 5-round shootout as well. So they went a distance in that shootout as well. So still a rough loss. Very happy, though, to at least get 1 point on the board with how tight everything is in the West.
Over the weekend, they played the Rockford Ice Hogs. Didn't have that much success. Again, coming up just short. They lost 5-4 on February 21st over on Saturday. They erased 3 separate deficits and went 3 for 3 in the power play to pull to just get close there. Sasha Pastuva had 3-point night, including 2 power play goals, his first multi-power play goal game of the AHL. Ryan Carpenter added his second straight multi-point effort. Stanton Solberg had his first career 2-goal game, now second among rookie defensemen in goals. Matthew Phillips, 200th career AHL assist, and Callie Klein earned his 12th win of the season. So, yeah, they ended up eking out a victory over the Rockford Ice Hogs 5-4. But, again, a very close game for the goals. They had to keep coming back from deficits.
Yeah, you're going to have to play from underneath every now and again, but to continuously put yourself in a position to where you're doing that night after night really, really wears down on you. So, and you're going to see it coming up with what happened on Sunday night.
Yeah, 2-1 loss to the Rockford Ice Hogs. Tighter contest. Nathan Gauthier had scored his 7th goal. Thomas Sichanek stopped 27 to 29 shots. Goals went 0 for 3 in the power play, though, a stark contrast from the night before.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach McIlvain emphasizing the importance of executing with the puck and staying sharp on back-to-back. So now you're at a point where you're sitting at 23, 16, 6, and 4. Points in 7 of their last 8 games. Playoff position currently on the line as they sit 6th place, in the Pacific behind teams like Colorado, Ontario, and Bakersfield.
A loss in shootouts, a 5-4 win at Rockford, a 2-1 loss at Rockford, and it's getting down to some pretty tight games. Again, the resiliency, but not getting the results in the win column that you would like. As you mentioned, 6th in the Pacific Division, behind teams like Colorado, Ontario, and Bakersfield. Few points out of a top 3 positioning, which is huge for them because you might be able to host. And the depth scoring is proving essential for the San Diego Gulls. But the problem is it's the having to come back over and over again. You got to be able to jump out to a lead and hang on to it.
Yeah, and also that bogey. That they got to really limit that one bogey period that they've been having recently.
So coming up for the Gulls, they're going to have the Tucson Roadrunners on Wednesday of this week, and then it's another trip on the road. They're going to take on the Texas Stars Friday and Saturday. We'll have the update for you next week. Remember to listen at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 97 through thefansd.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3. The Fan got a lot of Padres news and notes for you to get out there. They will start up again today at 12:10. Is it a 12:10 start? They're 10 starts in Peoria, aren't they?
12:10 start. Yes.
Wow. Not that 05 BS over in Mesa. Not that 07 BS in Toronto. Not that 38 BS in Anaheim. Nah, we're a proper city here in Peoria.
We start at 40.
Yeah, as you should. Should start at 6:10. It's not here, there. The 6:10 starts during COVID were so great. I miss the 6:10 starts. That is way more ideal for media people that get there super early because it's part of their job and don't have to fight traffic, getting out of work. At 6:10 is great. Although I thought the 6:07 start yesterday was great until the game ended at 10:57. RIP. All right, let's talk about Gavin Sheets a little bit. This is a guy that a year ago was fighting just to make the roster, and now he is the current incumbent first baseman DH. But at the same time, what thought to be a player that was going to be part of the starting lineup is now far from secure. I mean, his role is interesting here. I think he makes the team. The playing time, I think, is going to be a different conversation. He's obviously playing hard. He's going to have to play hard to earn some extra playing time on this team. I mean, he is a minor league flyer last year and now lineup fixture. He signed a minor league deal before 2025. He came off an uneven final 2 seasons with the White Sox and delivered the best season of his career in 2025. He had career highs in home runs with 19, doubles with 28, RBIs with 71. His 111 weighted runs created plus was the best since his rookie year. His Fangraphs WAR of 1.3 was more than double his previous high. He was an essential piece to a Padres team that won 90 games. He was clutch and streaky in all the right ways. Wasn't just productive. He was timely, Gavin Sheets was. On opening day, he had the game-tying pinch hit home run. 5 go-ahead RBIs in an 11-game stretch in May. He had a 12-game hitting streak in June. He had a 12.09 OPS in August, and he started the season hitting .344 through his first 21 games. He played first base. He played DH. He learned left field on the fly. As Jackson Merrill's put it, he made left field his bleep. He also crashed into the wall, but that's neither here nor there. He went from 8 career left field starts to becoming a regular there when the team needed it most. At the deadline, the Padres brought in Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn, which directly squeezed Gavin Sheets' role. He went from an everyday left fielder to barely playing for 2 weeks. His response, winning baseball is the most fun baseball, whatever the role is. That mindset elevated him internally. Teammates credit him as the reason and as a big reason that the Padres reached October. He filled it everywhere. Left field, DH, first base, even returned to left during the wild card series. The real development for Gavin Sheets, though, hitting lefties. Before 2025, Gavin Sheets hit 168 with a 216 on base and a 242 slug career against left-handed pitching. Did you hear those numbers, Frank?
Vaguely.
168 average.
168 average.
216 OBP.
260 on base.
242 slug, career line against lefties.
Not great.
That's not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. We got to add that to the drops. So not great, Bob. In 2025, his average against lefties jumped from a 168 in his career to a 255 average last year. 255 average. That's a lot better than 168 in his career. His on-base percentage improved by 212 points. His OPS improved by 212 points up to 670. Real growth, not elite level numbers, but still a lot of growth. And that's where the 2026 tension begins, because here comes the competition. The Padres, to address first base and DH and to address hitting left-handers, which Gavin Sheets made a mighty improvement on, they brought in Nick Castellanos, Miguel Andujar, Ty France, and Jose Miranda. This isn't the Yuli Gurriel, Jason Hayward, aging placeholders. These are viable bats that the Padres brought in. And even though Sheets may be the incumbent, this is absolutely, again, a prove-it year for Gavin Sheets in spring training. How is he handling this? Well, he talked about it with Ben and Woods earlier this week about the competition at first base. And here is what Gavin Sheets said about the competition and everybody they brought in to compete with him at first base.
Yeah, I think that's what happens when you're a part of a team trying to win a World Series. Yep. You know, you're going to be surrounded by really, really good players. And, you know, what I told Craig and AJ the other day was that even if those guys aren't in camp, I know that they're always around. You know, I know that the way AJ works, he's always trying to get the best guys out here. So it doesn't even matter if they're in camp or not. You know, he's always trying to make this team really good. And That's the fun part of being on a good team is you always have a competition, whether they're here or somewhere else. And, that's what I love as a player is he's always trying to make this team better. And so if we can take that next step, if one of these guys, Nick or Ty, one of these guys takes us to the next step and helps our team, then I'm all for it.
That's a great mindset to have on a team that's a team that wants to and is trying to win a World Series. But the question is Gavin Sheets an everyday player or the perfect platoon bat? For Gavin, I think he just wants to be a part of this team and he wants to play at a high level. Obviously, guys want to start more than they don't. I like the mindset he has. And to be honest with you, Frank, I think he's the perfect platoon bat.
Yeah.
Going into the season, I thought that Gavin Sheets, if he could improve a little bit against lefties, which he did a great job, I think you're okay with him being at first base every day. But I think it's better for a guy like Gavin Sheets to really use him for value and what he brings to this team as the perfect platoon player at first or DH. I think that's where he benefits the Padres most, not being an everyday player.
I would agree with that. I think every day in left field, he had most of his success as he was getting in a couple days a week, towards the end of the season.
Correct.
It's getting in a couple days a week as a DH, maybe playing left field for a day. That was kind of where he had more of his success last year. So yeah, to see him as a platoon player, he's your right-handed hitter. He's your DH against right-handed pitchers. Andujar flipped with him for lefties. I think that's probably your best fit for him, and you fill him in on defense where he's needed. If someone needs a day off or if Castellanos needs a little bit of extra time to get used to first base, I think that's kind of where his role is right now.
Another question is are these upgrades to Gavin Sheets playing first? I don't necessarily know that any of those players is overall better than Gavin Sheets, but I think the Padres, instead of spending $35 million on the perfect first baseman, I think they created it in a platoon setting of we have Andujar to hit lefties, we have Gavin Sheets to hit righties, we have Ty France to play defense, and Nick Castellanos is a guy that's going to be part of this lineup and provide the power. That's a lot of players on this team, but the good news is, though, is they're not all here just to play first base and DH. They all can do a bunch of different things. Somebody said, well, if you don't keep Sungmoon Song, who's going to back up Jake in the infield? Ty France could play first, second, and third.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the best position to play second base all the time? Probably not.
For a day, though, it's not going to kill you.
It's not going to kill you. Miguel Andujar is a corner infielder. He can also play third base and give guys spills. Jake Cronenworth can play shortstop. Is that an ideal position for Jake long-term? No. And if injuries happen and you have to make other changes, then you bring guys back up, like a Sungmoon Song if he doesn't make this team. But all of those players can play multiple positions. If you need another corner outfielder, Gavin Sheets has shown that he can do it. Do you want to see him out there every day? Probably not. Nick Castellanos can do it in a pinch. Do you want to see him out there every day? Probably not. But these are guys that could do multiple things, and they have, as they did in Moneyball, they have recreated a perfect first baseman in replenishing the aggregate with guys that are not Yuli Gurriel or Jason Hayward.
Yeah, and that they identified a bunch of needs that they had, and instead of finding one player that fills all of those needs, they went out and found 3 or 4 different guys that could fill those needs, and some of them are overlapping. As you mentioned, France could play a lot of different positions. Andujar could play a lot of different positions. So they have found a way to work it to where they've gotten everything covered and they've got a full roster with it instead of going out there and looking for that one perfect guy, which may not exist. And if he does, may not be available.
Bud Black rejoins the organization. What exactly is his role? Tom Krasovic had a pretty good column on Bud Black. We're going to take a deeper dive into that and take a look at the sports thread when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Tyler Reddick, not just hot, he's historic. 1 week after winning the Daytona 500, Reddick followed it up with a dramatic double overtime victory in Sunday's Auto Trader 400 at Echo Park Speedway, becoming the first driver in nearly 2 decades to win the first 2 races of a Cup Series season. The last to do it, NASCAR Hall of Famer Matt Kenseth back in 2009.
Yeah, absolutely. Elite company. It's very, very hard to win the Daytona 500 plus the next race that comes up after that. And now that the next race that comes up after that is at a reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway, now Echo Park Speedway, that's basically turned into like a shorter, smaller version of Daytona and Talladega, where it is just a crapshoot. It's all about drafting. It's all about being in the right place at the right time and not necessarily how your car is handling. It's even more impressive, honestly, that Reddick has been able to do this. And he did it with damage too.
Yeah, he started from the pole after qualifying was rained out, led the race best 53 laps, but late in the race, his number 45 Toyota got caught up in a 9-car accident. The right front fender was mangled. The team had to tape the car up in 39-degree weather just to keep it together. And Denny Hamlin, who's part owner of this team, described it as looking like Carnage City. But it didn't matter. On the field, on the final overtime restart, Reddick zigzagged and somehow muscled his way forward, getting a huge push from Joe Gibbs Racing's Chase Briscoe, cleared teammate Bubba Wallace, and held off the field by just 0.164 seconds. 2 races, 2 wins, completely different styles.
Yeah, he was able to control a little bit at Daytona after he got past the big wreck on the final lap, and this time he had to fight from the middle of the field and really work at getting this win. A lot tighter confines around Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. So it's positioning and timing, grit, car control. He's won it all. He's won both races in very different styles this year.
And don't overlook the teamwork angle here either. Daytona, Riley Herbst delivered the key push. At Echo Park, it was Briscoe, another Toyota driver, helping shove Reddick to the front. Meanwhile, Bubba Wallace led for 46 laps and looked poised to win before a late move up the track opened the door for his teammate. He finished 8th, but 23-11 Racing still leaves Atlanta sitting 1st and 2nd in points, with Reddick holding a 40-point advantage.
Yeah, Reddick is off to an incredible start this year. And Michael Jordan said it best. It's really fun to be a part of 23-11 right now. And just think,
it should be.
He's 3-0 this year. He won the lawsuit against NASCAR. He's won the Daytona 500, and now he's gotten the win at Echo Park, and people still call LeBron James the greatest of all time.
I don't see LeBron James winning NASCAR events, if you will. At Echo Park, 12 cars finished within 1 second of the winner. 9 different leaders led double-digit laps, 14 total leaders overall. The racing was tight. It was chaotic. It was strategic. Drafting mattered. Patterns mattered. And execution mattered. Carson Hocevar made a daring solo move late, but couldn't find drafting help when it mattered most. Ross Chastain finished 3rd. Shane Van Gisbergen scored his best overall finish in 6th after being in 2 separate incidents. But again, the headline belongs to Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, absolutely. He did not just he did not just survive damage. He didn't just capitalize on chaos. He absolutely controlled the moment. And now he's doing something that we have not seen in this sport in 17 years by sweeping the first 2 races of the season.
And coming up next, Frank, it's a trip for the Truck Series to St. Petersburg Street Circuit coming up on February 28th. But what else is on the docket for NASCAR coming up?
Yep. So the St. Petersburg Street Circuit, which is the traditional starting point for the IndyCar Series, they are going to be starting up this weekend as well at St. Pete. This will be NASCAR's first trip to the airport at St. Pete. The Craftsman Truck Series will run there on Saturday, the 28th. That'll be at 9 a.m. on FS1. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series will be running at Circuit of the Americas on Saturday, on the same day, Saturday the 28th, at 12 p.m. Pacific time. That will be on the CW. The Cup Series will be the next day, will be Sunday from Circuit of the Americas. That'll be a 12:30 p.m. Pacific time start on Fox. But coming up before that, though, will be the opening for the IndyCar Series. That will be from St. Petersburg as well. That will also be on Fox.
Yeah, should be a fun time in St. Petersburg, and then they go to Phoenix, and you're going to actually get to see that in person.
I will be
which is
there
fun.
live, so we won't have to worry about doing one of these.
That'll be a fun preview and even better recap when we get to that point. $11:40. All guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. It's probably not baking either. Did you hear Elo yesterday?
No, I did not.
Aside from the fact that he had to stop the entire show to talk about your soccer team, it's a rough time. Oh, he's get kicked in the face.
Yeah, he kind of did.
Ow, that doesn't look fun.
That'd be a penalty for Atalanta too, which would put them up 4-3 in aggregate. They were down 2-0 in aggregate going into the match tonight.
That guy got kicked in the face.
It was a red. They gave a red card to somebody by the bench. I don't know if it was the same guy or not. Oh, they gave the Atalanta bench a red card too.
Wow. Chris Elo trying to explain.
And they gave Atalanta a penalty.
Chris Elo trying to explain and be hip with soccer was funny yesterday. Oh, and a yellow. All right, we're just handing cards out to everybody.
Yeah, it was a red for the Atalanta. It was a red for both benches, for Atalanta and Dortmund's bench. Yellow card for the player that kicked the other guy in the face. And now an Atalanta penalty, which if they score this, they go up 4-3 in aggregate and advance in Champions League.
In extra time, right?
Yeah, in added time, yep.
A couple of things that happened yesterday with Chris Elo talking about soccer. One, why didn't anybody alert Chris that team that he was talking about was Frank's favorite team? One, a missed opportunity, buddy. Missed opportunity. I wanted to hear them talk smack to Frank. I was listening to this the entire time. I'm like, they're talking about Inter, and Frank has no idea. And he goes like, there are called Inter Milan, but they just go by Inter as I try to be cool and hip with the soccer crowd.
Oh boy.
I was dying, dude. It was like, oh, Chris, the soccer talk. All right, here's the penalty kick.
And he got it.
Got it.
Atalanta is going to come from 2-0 down on the aggregate to win 4-1 in the game and 4-3 on aggregate. That is insane.
Wow.
Goodbye, Borussia Dortmund.
Goodbye. Okay. I needed that yesterday. I needed the soccer talk to Frank yesterday.
Yeah.
One. Foul on one for not bringing it up to Gwen and Chris.
Oh. Foul on Adam for always turning the hotkey button off.
He draws the foul. He draws the foul.
I also want to say, that's where I brought up the Chris thing. Chris, we broadcast live for the Bill House Studios. We know how.
Yes, we do.
Chris kept calling it the whatever hotel he was at, Bill House Studios, because he was in Boise with the Aztec women's team.
Bill Howe goes on the road with us.
And then he was like, yeah, this hotel has no idea they got a brand new sponsor, Bill Howe, and a brand new plumber.
We take Bill Howe on the road with us everywhere we go. We stick him in the luggage.
Yeah, apparently. Bill Howe had the sponsorship wherever Tony's staying in Peoria too. Whenever he got back, that's like the longest travel of the game of the spring training is getting out to Mesa.
If we go to Army Navy this year, do you want me to stick Bill Howe in my pocket, or do you want to take him?
Bill Howe's flying first class. He'll meet us there.
Yeah, well, so there you go. He'll stick in your pocket then.
Yeah, that's only if I have the points to do that, like I did last time. Ended up not working out. I'm not doing a show in Boston when I go to Boston.
A direct flight to New York.
Yeah, no changes on that. They actually do have direct flights to New York, so that's nice. I'm going to Boston for the Padres Red Sox series. I'm not doing a show there because that Friday for Red Sox opening day we're off.
Yes.
Otherwise, Bill Howe would be coming with me. Don't know where I'm staying yet, but I'm flying to Boston. Looks like I'm staying at Fenway. Maybe I'll stay at Ted's house. Maybe Ted the Teddy Bear's out there.
There you go.
Scooch over, Mark Wahlberg. All right. I do want to talk about Bud Black, but I think we're going to have to put that into the next hour. But We'll keep you updated on Padres baseball. They're about to get started in Peoria against the Angels. But before we get to that, it's time to get to today's sports thread. Here's Frank Marchese.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
All right, Frank, what we got going on in the sports world today?
We got some interesting stuff coming from a football league that nobody cares about.
Number 1.
That's the UFL.
Yes, the United Football League, which
there goes our chance to sponsor or broadcast UFL games.
Well,
but you know what? Like Olive Garden, chalk it up to the game. Chris the other day was killing me.
The United Football League, which does still exist, announces sweeping changes for the 2026 season aimed at boosting offense and excitement because player quality can't do that for them. Most notably awarding 4 points for field goals of 60 yards or longer and banning most punts inside the opponent's 50-yard line. You could have just said inside the opponent's half of the field, but whatever. Forcing teams to either attempt long kicks or go for it on 4th down, except after the 2-minute warning, while also outlawing the tush push. Adjusting extra point options include NFL-style 2-point tries from the 2-yard line, plus a new one, a 3-point play, a 3-point option from the 8-yard line, modifying kickoff alignments to improve field position, and adopting the NCAA-style 1-foot inbounds catch rule. Head of officiating Dean Blandino said the changes are designed to promote scoring, pace, and big plays as the league opens up its 10-week season on March 27th, which son of a gun is coming up in 2 days.
Son of a gun. You say March 27th or February 27th?
Oh, March 27th. Never mind.
So that's not in 2 days.
It's a month and 2 days.
Where do the Chiefs play? I'm just kidding.
In a place. Again, it's the UFL. Do these aggressive rule tweaks make the UFL more entertaining, or do they risk straying too far away from traditional football?
I mean, UFL needs to make changes like this. My question is if you are inside the 50-yard line, can you just take delay of games to put yourself outside the 50-yard line and then punt?
That would be smart.
Like if I'm at the 48-yard line, can I just take a delay game and then I can punt? Like,
look at the special teams coach trying to figure out a way to get his special teams on the field.
I'm just saying, most of the time in that area, you're in no man's land anyway, and you end up going for it. But if it's like 4th and 15 and you're at the 48, why can't I just take a 5-yard penalty on the delay game? Was that been brought up? Do they have rules on that?
I don't know.
Can you not take a delay game? Do they have delay games in the UFL? I got questions here. I could see that blowing up in the UFL's face if that wasn't part of the deal. I'm sure somebody in the chat can tell me because they're locked into UFL football. I'm not, but
today's question: who plays in the UFL? 1 point per team.
The Renegades.
Oh well,
there's one.
Okay.
That's about all I know about the UFL. I don't mind the 3-point conversion play. Cool. From the 8-yard line. That's actually probably easier to get than any of the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, it gives you more room.
Right. It gives you more room to do that kind of stuff. All kickoffs are stupid in professional sports right now, in professional football. What is the what was the other one that they had?
It's aired on Fox one.
Oh, nice. So it was the no punting, it was the conversions. A 4-point field goal. You can't do that now because almost everybody in the NFL can do a 60-yard field goal. Plus, it's like it's so quick to get there is so easy now in the NFL. I don't know about that.
Did they not?
I know the UFL is not going to have as great of kickers, but still, I mean, a 4-point field goal.
But here's the thing, though. Dean Blandino said that the changes are designed to promote scoring, big plays, and pace. Do we not realize that television is the thing that slows down professional sports in America more than anything else?
It does. I hate pace comments. You want to know why I hate pace comments? Because if people are bored, you could just turn it off. Nobody's forcing you to watch anything. So why do you care how long a game goes? The only people that care about that are the media people. Like me yesterday, I couldn't leave. I couldn't just get up and leave. Any of the fans could get up and leave. Right?
Pace of play. If you there are countries out there in Europe, Australia does it as well. You cannot show full screen advertisements during professional sporting events. That would make the game so much quicker. That would make every game so much quicker. Just put it in a box, have adverts running on the sides. That's fine. Always have the game on TV. Because if you always have the game on TV, there's no need for television timeouts. There's no need for anything like that. It's just go. Because you could do the breaks while you're playing the game.
That's how you make all your money, though.
And you can, right, but you can have ads up all the time instead of during 4-minute blocks.
Do those ads cost less? I mean, are companies not as...
Whatever.
I'm just saying, like...
You can figure that out.
The reason why television exists is for advertising, and the secondary part is the actual entertainment that you watch. That's the whole point of television.
It works in Europe. I'm sure you can find a way to figure it out. It's worked in other places.
It's American greed, dude. I don't know if it's going to work like that.
Happened before.
On to the next
one.
The Atlanta Braves, not the Atalanta Braves that we were just discussing, the Atlanta Braves have
announced
that
extra A in there.
Yeah, have announced that they will launch Braves Vision as their local television home beginning this season, taking full control of producing, marketing, and distributing more than 140 games after ending their deal with Main Street Sports Group, which missed rights payments. Unlike several clubs, including the Reds, Royals, Marlins, Brewers, Cardinals, and Rays, that shifted broadcasting to MLB production, Atlanta opted to manage its own operation, with games also available via MLB Streaming's platform and a select number airing free on gray media stations. As team president Derek Schiller said, the move echoes the franchise's TBS-era roots and allows more innovative storytelling. Is team control broadcasting the future of MLB media, or does it make impending media rights conversations more difficult, adding a new broadcast group into the mix?
I think it makes it more difficult because you're trying to get these teams to not have their own TV networks so you can centralize the media contracts, which you can't. You already have to worry about SNY and the Yes Network and Spectrum Sportsnet and NBC in the Bay Area and NESN, all that stuff. You already have to deal with that. Why add another one to it? I think it's just a placeholder until they figure out how they want to do the TV contracts, which might be the biggest part of these negotiations. I think the salary cap, salary floor is part of it, but I still think the biggest thing is trying to convince the owners on the centralized TV. I think that's going to be the biggest talking point this offseason.
Absolutely.
Number 3.
Four-star quarterback Gunnar Rivers, son of NC State legend and 8-time Pro Bowler Phillip Rivers, has announced that he is committed to NC State, giving the program ESPN's number 11 ranked pocket passer and number 142 overall prospect in the 2027 class. The 6'3" Alabama product chose NC State over reported offers from Auburn, Miami, Boston College, and South Carolina, following in the footsteps of his father, who threw for 13,848 yards from 2000 to 2003. How much does legacy factor into recruiting, and is following in a Hall of Fame caliber parent's footsteps an advantage or unnecessary added pressure?
Phillip Rivers had a pretty good career at NC State.
Yes,
I mean, but the thing is, it's like, so if Phillip went to NC State, like I would imagine the kids have probably grown up watching NC State.
Oh, I'm sure,
athletics. Yeah. It's probably a place that he always wanted to go to because his dad went there. At this day and age, I don't really think it's added pressure. There's already enough pressure on kids anyway. But NC State, keep it in the family. It's cool. Family legacy. The Manning family did with Ole Miss, except for Peyton Manning, redheaded stepchild, going somewhere else to Tennessee. Good for him. Good for the Rivers family, keeping it going. Who knows? In this day and age, he balls out at NC State and probably go somewhere else. Transfer portal, always a thing. Padres baseball. We'll talk about it.
Padres. San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
10 minutes away from seeing the Padres take on the Angels on television. We will be going through, we'll keep you updated on Padres and Halos as the game goes about. Fun lineup today. I like the lineup today. I wouldn't way too much into today's lineup.
Can't have this lineup during the regular season, Braden, though.
Yeah, or else I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, we're going to be mad.
My random Twitter account that has some Padres player's face on it. I'm so-and-so Stan account. It's just, can we just create better accounts sometimes? I don't get the whole, let me create an account that is a play on my favorite team or school that has a random picture up there, and then I'm just going to say whatever comes to mind, regardless of what it is, with no consequences. I'm out on that behavior. I think that behavior is kind of odd. Anyway, today's lineup: Xander Bogaerts leadoff. We've seen that a couple of times now. Manny in the 2 spot. I wonder if that has to do with the WBC getting more at bats. It's possible. Because out of these guys, they're the only 2 that are going to the World Baseball Classic, correct? Oh, no, Fernando is 2. He's batting 4th. Jackson 3rd, Fernando 4, Sheets 5, Jake Cronenworth 6, Laureano 7, Camposano 8, Ty France 9. That is your lineup today. Ty France is DHing. Sheets is playing first. Camposano's obviously catching. They'll be going against the lineup: Zach Neto, Nolan Shanuel, never heard of him, Jorge Soler, Joe Adell, Josh Lau, Logan O'Hoppe, Christian Moore, Denzer Guzman, and Rowdy Rodriguez, the starting lineup for the Halos.
Nolan Shanuel's there. He's their starting first baseman. Denzer Guzman and Rowdy Gonzalez are the only 2 I really don't know from that lineup. But Shanuel's an everyday player for them.
As you can tell, I don't pay attention to Angels baseball. And neither do any of their fans because they don't want to win. I don't know any of those guys.
We'll have that video up soon.
Yeah, that was funny. I enjoyed that. Never played the Angels. One. I'm going to change my profile picture to Frank Marchese. Stammen said today that earlier today the WBC guys will play a little bit more than they usually do and get some extra at-bats before they leave. Smart. I like it. Michael King on the Hill today. We'll keep you updated on this. I do want to get to what Juan brought up in the chat in a second, and we're going to talk about Bud Black later on this hour as well, what his role is with the Padres. We'll talk about the Aztecs in the 1 o'clock hour also. But before this, what are the goals for Michael King today? Make it through an inning? Look fine? I mean, it's just roughly. If he gets hit around a little bit, who cares? This is kind of the first out of the big 3 to get a start, right? We haven't seen Pivetta yet. Haven't seen Joe Musgrove yet. We have seen, I thought Randy Vasquez looked pretty good early on. I mean, it's still early, but I see Michael King locate, feel good, feel comfortable up there. But you saw him in the playoff game. I'm curious how banged up he was in that playoff game. Because he looked good against the Cubs in the one time he played. He looked so good that I was surprised that they didn't start the game with him.
He looked so good that I'm surprised they didn't throw him an extra inning.
I know. That was also very frustrating. That game's going to get started about 12:10. All right.
Ryan O'Hearn, RBI single. Lost the Ryan O'Hearn trade.
Except but they didn't trade him.
Yeah, too bad we lost it.
Lost the
trade.
Lost the trade. Okay. Let's look at this Pete Crow Armstrong stuff. Apparently, he has just rattled the cage of Dodger fans everywhere. Did you see this?
Oh, no.
Darn,
funny. Man.
Yeah,
no.
Darn. Oh, no. Dodger fans are upset.
God,
about something real.
Yeah,
now? What's the. Oh, no. Oh no. So Pete Crow Armstrong he grew up the son of a Cubs fan in Los Angeles. Went to Dodger games as a kid, but claims he was never a fan under strict orders from his dad. And he said in an article in September that he wrote for the Players Tribune, he goes, growing up in LA, my dad gave me a couple of rules. 1, I couldn't root for the Dodgers. 2, I couldn't root for the Cardinals. You know what? He was raised right in that particular sense.
Yes, he was.
Now a 23-year-old star outfielder for the Cubs, Pete Crow Armstrong is outwardly expressing his disdain, not for the Dodgers, but for their fans.
He's a huge Henry Rowan Gardner fan growing up.
Henry Rowan Gardner. Quote, I love Chicago more and more. It's just an incredible city. The people are great. They give a bleep. They aren't just baseball fans who go to the game like Dodger fans to take pictures and whatever. They are paying attention. They care. Wow. Pete Crow Armstrong seen here braving the frigid condition of a January Bears game like a real fan. Pete Crow Armstrong is, a player that apparently likes to go to the games in Chicago too, because everybody there gives a bleep. That shot at Dodger fans appears to have come out of left field. There's no context for it in this story, at least.
Wouldn't it have come out of center field?
It would be out of center field. Crow Armstrong was addressing his acclamation to Chicago and growing love for the city, and apparently decided to throw in a swipe at sports fans from his hometown. He's not the first taking shots at Southern California sports fans. It is a time-honored tradition in cities that take pride in wearing their working-class roots, especially those in cold weather locales. Orioles Pete Alonso invites that's part of this article. There's a bunch of other stuff on here.
Yeah, that was John Oliver was on one of the late night talk shows, and he said he's a Met fan. Sorry, and his son is a Met fan, but he's also a big Pete Alonso fan. And he's like, his son asked him, "Is it okay to root for the Orioles now?" That was why that's a thing.
All right, so he took a shot unwanted. I mean, that was a stray. I love it. He's speaking facts, by the way. I mean, LA has just always been a bandwagoner town. It's been like that. I've seen that for a long time. I mean, they can sit there and say that they have diehard fans. We would all the game. You don't. It's just like a lot of cities out there. I think the perfect example of this is St. Louis right now.
Yes.
How many times did we get shoved down our throat that St. Louis is the best fans and they just love baseball and they're always there and they always sell out and all this other stuff. And then the team turns to absolute garbage and nobody's there.
Yep.
It's like, I'm tired of the whole narrative that our fans are better than your fans. Everybody's fans are kind of the same. Like they really are. I think the Padres fans do a really good job. I think you guys have done a great job supporting this organization and selling out. And, this is a team that hasn't won a World Series and they're still selling out. I think that's a lot harder for some fan bases than others. But to sit here and say like, oh, we always support when our team is awful is kind of a joke. It's just that not everybody's that into it. I mean, the Padres for a long time, when they were not very good, I mean, even the best of us, like, why am I going to watch this over and over again?
Speaking of
so
watching,
painful.
Speaking of watching this over and over again, if you flip on MLB Network right now, on a second screen, obviously.
Oh no! Why? Because the Angels are playing.
Yeah,
you're gonna get us banned on YouTube for doing this.
It's not going over YouTube.
Are we sure it's not going over YouTube?
I am positive it's not going over YouTube. Yes.
When I drive past the Big A today to go to the Ducks game, am I going to just immediately hear this song?
I think it's on all the speakers around the highway.
Just always, constantly playing. No wonder Cal State Fullerton hasn't been good in baseball in the last handful of years. They got to listen to Calling All the Angels all over the place. Michael King toes the rubber, ready to go in Peoria, and the game is underway. Everybody's got fair weather sports fans. To say that you have diehard sports fans in your town is just, I'm sorry, it's not true. when Boston sucks, they stop watching. They move on to the team that's good. It is what it is. Dodger fans can be upset about it all they want, but the reality, he's speaking factual statements. Right now, you got a lot of fans that are T-shirt fans in LA that like to take pictures, and I think he's really talking more about the celebrities, Frank, than anything else.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I mean, the celebrities that all pretend that they're like, they care about Dodger baseball is a joke. It really is.
There are a few that do, like, what's his name? Rob Lowe.
He's always there. You know what? I've seen what's his name? Now I'm blanking on his name. I've seen Jack Nicholson sit courtside at Lakers games, disgruntled and bad Laker play. The guy likes the Lakers.
Yeah,
obviously.
he is genuinely a Laker fan.
I haven't seen him in a long time. Also, don't watch the Lakers anymore.
He's also what, 90?
Yeah, I don't know if he goes to games anymore. But he has sat through a lot of bad Laker games. I think there's some celebrities that do like their sports teams that are from there. But I think he's most likely talking about the difference of the playoff crowd for the Dodgers is a lot different than the regular season crowd. You got a lot more celebrities and people that want to be seen at those things more than just actually watching the game.
I was making a joke, and I wasn't actually too far off. He's 88.
Wow. Is Justin Herbert really a legit Padres fan? Who knows? You know, people like to say, oh, Josh Allen, Padres fan. He wore the Padres stuff at that one time that they brought it. Come on. I get the fan conversation from Pete Crow Armstrong. There's diehard fans everywhere. There's bandwagon fans everywhere. The majority of fan bases don't like showing up when their team's not very good. Is that hard to say? I'm yet to find a fan base that sells out when their team sucks.
Every single fan of every single team everywhere in the world is a fraud.
Everybody's a fraud.
Everyone.
I want to say this. Name me a place and a fan base that sells out when their team is in last place. Go ahead. Tell me that place. Show me evidence. I will buy it.
I would say Boston because they've got like 20,000 seats.
For what?
The Red Sox.
The Red Sox? Red Sox are bad. They don't show up. I've seen a lot of empty Fenway Parks. I mean, when your team isn't good and your team's in last place, show me a fan base that shows up to all of those games, and I'll be like, all right, cool. They're locked in. I mean, they are diehards, but, you know, Cubs fans are the same. I mean, as much as he wants to, they care. They care when they're good. Like, if Wrigley Field's still packed when they're in last place, sure. And I will say, like, Wrigley Field does the Cubs. There's been a lot of times the Padres have rolled into Chicago and the Cubs have had bad teams, and they've still have had a lot of great, you know, numbers in the crowd.
Our boss is actively ushering people away from us to watch the Padres.
That was filthy. Michael King looked pretty good in the first inning. But as Sam loves, it is the Angels. Take it with a grain of salt.
They got all of them there. Well, most of them. They called most of them.
You didn't play the whole song, so only a couple of them showed up.
Yeah, you have to play the whole.
If you want,
my bad.
If you want the Angels to have their full 26-man roster, you have to play the entire song. That's why they do it at home games, Frank. Otherwise, they'd be missing players. They'd be playing with less players. They're calling on the Angels to show up. You have to play the whole song.
Including I'd have to play it like 4 or 5 times to get all the people that are there now. Everyone on the 40, all the non-roster invitees. I need to play it like 4 times.
Yeah, just to get the 26-man roster. That is one time through. The daily bit now of making fun of the Angels is kind of funny as somebody that kind of considers them their American League team.
Yes.
I like the Angels. I think going up there for games is fun every once in a while. It's an American League team. It's different, but it is really fun to make fun of the Angels. It is. You have to put foul. Go Aztecs. That's a cheap shot of Mike Trout, man.
He draws the foul.
Funny, yet a cheap shot of Mike Trout. So
he's had a long life of swimming upstream in Anaheim, man.
Oh my
He's
God.
had a long life of it.
He was learning his ways with Tim Salmon out there.
Guess he was.
I mean, they had a couple of fish out there in the outfield. Though that was the beginning of memes. The MLB memes account where they had Trout, a picture of a trout, salmon, picture of a salmon. They needed one more fish. They needed one more fish out there to complete the cycle. Couldn't get it done.
Where was the drafting of Gil Guppy when you needed him?
Oh, man. What a missed opportunity for the Halos. They could have changed their name to the Flying Fish.
I don't know if Gil Guppy is an actual person.
Just like the fake names you put out there on the generator and for the biggest fan.
Yep.
No wonder we're not getting people to call in. Frank's just making up names now.
Hey, we got our first guy in like a week yesterday.
That's great.
So.
Foul on Juan. Overreacting to lineups.
He draws the foul.
Give me a break. Xander Bogaerts popped up. Juan loses his mind.
Foul on Nolan Shawnewell for
he draws the foul.
Routine foul ball catch on Xander Bogaerts.
Wow, Squirrely gifted a membership. Love it. All right.
Hey.
Yeah, the fan thing is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous. So Michael King looked pretty good in the first inning. Just to kind of recap what the Padres have done in the top half of the first, again against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Fullerton, San Clemente, San Juan Capistrano, Scottsdale. I guess they're also a member of Scottsdale. 1-2-3 inning. Nito flew out. Shanuel struck out looking, and Soler grounded out. And that was what Michael King did. And now the Padres have their sticks coming up. Here, Xander Bogaerts popped up in his first at-bat. But that's the look at the what the Padres have done so far in this game against the Angels. So we got a must-win game for San Diego State tonight against Utah State. And this is a game that really affects their opportunity to make the NCAA tournament without having to win in Vegas. They lose this game, they're officially done. I thought they were basically done after Colorado State. I mean, if they win the next 3 quad 1 type games, they'd probably have an opportunity to sneak in. But I think it's going to be hard, and they're going to need some help. And I don't think that's going to be the case for the Aztecs. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. We were also going to dive into the bubble a little bit and who they're competing with. Again, it doesn't look that great for the Aztecs. But when we come back, we teased it in the last hour, and I think he's a big factor to this year on the Padres. And I think adding guys like this to your organization is great. It is the conversation about Bud Black and what his role is with the San Diego Padres. Speaking of San Diego State Aztecs, he's paired with another MLB manager to do, I think, an important job. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Well, we'll have the NHL back this week, but it was a big display over at the Olympics with so many NHL players representing multiple countries, obviously coming down to the big game between Team USA and Canada, gold medal matchup, and USA winning historic gold.
Yep, absolutely. First men's Olympic gold since 1980, ending Canada's best on best dominance. Jack Hughes with the overtime 3-on-3 winner over Canada in the headline moment. Bloodied, teeth lost, perseverance exemplified. But the story of the night for the United States was for sure Connor Hellebuyck. 41 save masterpiece, one of the best Olympic goaltending performances ever, and an image on Devon Taves that is going to last forever.
Canada, surprising setbacks. Sidney Crosby likely in his final Olympics, injured for the gold medal game. Josh Morrissey absent. Roster selection debates ongoing. Teen phenom Macklin Telebrini shown, but couldn't overcome the U.S. defensive effort. Powerhouse nation showing some parity. Finland got bronze. Slovakia semifinals. Sweden a little underperforming, but overall, for Team Canada, it's a tough loss, but this isn't a miracle. This is 2 NHL All-Star teams competing at a high level and getting to the golden goal.
Yeah, this is 2 NHL powerhouses, and both these teams, we said it, with the route that they took to get to where they were, the games last week, we thought against Sweden and Czechia, we thought were going to be the toughest games, and they proved to be. We didn't think they were going to be as tough as they were, forcing both the U.S. and Canada to go into overtime, but they struggled against those teams. Now they playing each other. They also go to overtime. Also, you had the two women's teams going to overtime against each other. So, I mean, it was the perfect send-off for the Olympics this year, and one that I'm sure the Olympics was very happy that they got.
And they got the ice ready in time, too.
Yes.
That was an event that almost never happened.
Yep.
Because of the situation in Milan. Let's talk about some of the standouts and the disappointing NHL players, Frank. Let's start with some of the standout NHL players who represented their countries. No surprise that it's mostly Team USA and Team Canada players.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlie McAvoy, a defender for the Boston Bruins, played very, very well on defense. Quinn Hughes for the Minnesota Wild, top pairing, key playoff style performances out of him. Jack Hughes, his brother, playing for the New Jersey Devils, got the golden goal. He'll be remembered forever. Connor McDavid for the Edmonton Oilers for Team Canada, tournament MVP, Canada's leading scorer. You also had Jack Eichel, forward for the Vegas Golden Knights, complete two-way game. Anchored that top line. One of the players for the Canadians who played for the, I believe that's a Slovakian team, Yuri Slafkovsky, I believe. Sorry, led Slovakia to the semifinals, 7 points in 4 games. You also had Tage Thompson as well, underused but highly effective, contributed to the U.S. goal, player for the Buffalo Sabres. Had a very, very good tournament as well.
Let's look at some of the disappointments. No surprise with the way that Sweden disappointed that they're going to have some disappointments on this list.
Yeah, certainly. Sam Reinhart, forward for the Carolina Panthers, ineffective in limited top 6 minutes. William Nylander for Team Sweden for the Toronto Maple Leafs, needed more of him. He's one of the top paid players on the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's also one of the reasons why the Maple Leafs lost Mitch Marner, was because they had to pay William Nylander's salary. Former Anaheim Duck, current Pittsburgh Penguin, Ricard Raquel, had minimal impact for Sweden in limited time on ice. Philip Forsberg for the Nashville Predators, also very underwhelming. And Ducks goalkeeper for Czechia, Lucas Dostal, he was good, but he was just inconsistent with a .886 save percentage. Not good enough.
So now looking for the second half of the NHL season, we're going to get NHL hockey back later this week, but gold medalists return to the NHL with confidence. Hellebuck has got to go into the second half of the season fired up. The Hughes brothers.
I don't know how fired up he'll be playing for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the other thing too, is playing in Canada for Canadian teams when you are an American. Eichel, Larkin, McAvoy, and others could impact the playoff pushes with what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. You also got to look at momentum versus fatigue. Will Olympic success translate to
Braden Surprenant Show, broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Update on the Padres. Michael King looks like he's ready for opening day. Let's just fast forward to the March 26th. He's ready to go.
I'm telling you, he's your opening day starter. I appreciate what Nick Pivetta did last year. I think he's going to be just as good as he was last year this year, but Michael King's your opening day starter.
We talked about the having like Joe. No, who did we want to have? Either King and Joe at the top because they get an extra day rest if he did 6-man rotation and started opening day. That might be in play. King looks pretty good so far. I mean, he got who Lau had a 3-0 count.
Yeah, Lau had a 3-0 count, got it to 3-1, and then grounded out to second.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different. I thought he swung 3-0 on that and then just grounded out. I'm like, hey, you know what? Guys taking chances. They're trying to work on stuff at spring training. Yeah, King looked pretty good in the first couple of innings. I mean, he already went one inning. Obviously, he's in the second, and
let me see what his pitch counts at right now.
I mean, the first inning had to be like 12 pitches, if that.
He's out of the inning now. I think it's like 23 pitches, I think.
Wow. He feels good. Get him out.
Yeah, 23 pitches, 15 strikes. I mean, we've seen guys go either 50 pitches or 2 innings usually, but 23 pitches.
He sawed off Joe Adele. Another punch out right there.
I'd see if he wants to go again.
See how he's feeling. 2 innings.
Throw one more inning.
2 strikeouts. I mean, they didn't even look close to putting any type of solid contact on Michael King. I mean, not even like anything. I mean, he was efficient. He's been efficient. I mean, not a bad start to spring training. All right.
Struck out 2 of their 3 bigger hitters, too. Neto being one of them, but he didn't strike out. Shanuel and Ohapi both down on strikes.
Speaking of pitchers, let's talk about a former pitcher who's back with the Padres organization, Bud Black. After being fired by the Rockies last May, Bud Black had every reason to just walk away. Instead, the 68-year-old San Diego baseball lifer is back with the Padres, this time as a special assistant to baseball operations. He was hired by A.J. Preller, who fired him the first time here in San Diego. He is a baseball lifer. He's a great baseball guy. I mean, you talk to Bud Black. I mean, talk about just a wealth of knowledge. But he was drafted by the Mariners in 1979 at San Diego State. He had a 15-year MLB pitching career. He was the pitching coach for the 2002 champion Anaheim Angels. 18 years as a big league manager with the Padres and Rockies. Managed over 2,900 MLB games. And when the Colorado Rockies fired him in May, he thought about retirement. But anyone who knows Bud Black knew that wasn't going to happen. He loves the absurd grind of 162 games, the daily rhythm, the internal clock of baseball life. And even though that Bud Black was fired by A.J. Preller in 2015, early in Preller's general manager tenure, they're working together again. Preller has had multiple breakfasts with Black this winter before hiring him. And why bring him back? He said he was a respected baseball mind, deep pitching background, known as collaborative, deep ties to San Diego, and wants to give back. That's the maturity here on both sides of what was a previous working relationship. Black describes his role simply as watch baseball and talk baseball. It's more layered than that, though. I mean, officially, he's going to be scouting minor league players this spring. He's going to be visiting affiliates in San Antonio, Fort Wayne, Lake Elsinore, El Paso. He's going to be scouting amateur players pre-draft with Chris Kemp. He's going to be serving as a sounding board for managers and coaches, which is great. And he's going to be supporting player development staff. He's also paired in the system with Scott Service, another former MLB manager now working in player development. Farm director Riley Westman is integrating both into the system, and Craig Stammen, who is a first-year coach, called their support super. I think the championship experience matters here. Bud Black pitched in the 1985 World Series for the Kansas City Royals. He was the pitching coach in 2002 for the Angels, who won, and the Padres, who are still chasing their first title. Bud Black wants to be a piece of that puzzle. This is not a nostalgia hire. Oh, let's bring Bud Black back because it was cool as former manager, all that. This is a very much an infrastructure move to help the Padres and help with development. Padres are stacking experience in player development, and A.J. Preller is prioritizing baseball lifers around young coaches. I think that's great. Bud Black still burns for October, and this is a nice culture builder to, I think, the organization as a whole. When you are a guy like Bud Black, who has been around baseball as long as he has, bringing him in to mentor coaches and managers throughout your organization is huge. Having him evaluate talent. I mean, we talk about a guy that definitely has some talent in finding talent. Putting him with Scott Service, helping with player development. I mean, you're going to have Major League Baseball managers that know what is expected of MLB teams who have been there and done that for a long period of time, helping develop players at the lower levels. This is a great ad for the Padres. And to have him part of a, relatively young coaching staff, not in a sense that he's on the coaching staff, but he is there to be a person that the coaches can lean on and the managers of the organization can lean on, including Craig Stammen, him and Scott Service. I don't think there's anything bad in bringing experienced people into the organization, especially good Padres people. And good baseball people. And I think the Padres have slowly started to build off of a foundation that's going to lead to them hopefully developing better players in the future that they can either use for trade capital or they can use as help filling out the roster in future years. I mean, it's great. I mean, for the nostalgia purposes, it's great seeing Bud Black back in a Padres capacity. He said he, loves being back and, obviously meeting a lot of new people since the last time he was part of this organization. It's been a long time. He's with the Rockies for a long time. But I think the move was great when they did it. I was fired up to see it. And I think it brings in some real play to development in this organization. I think the championship experience matters too. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to think about what he was doing in San Diego and in Colorado with rosters that were just awful rosters and how the fact that they couldn't win there, but I don't think anybody can win with the teams that they had. I mean, the teams that he had in San Diego were not good teams. And the teams he had in Colorado, not good teams. But he has won World Series before, once as a player, once as a pitching coach. And I think that championship pedigree, as well as the baseball knowledge, helps elevate this organization, especially pairing him with Scott Service. I think evaluating talent's huge. I think that adds a different layer. And the fact that not only can he help develop the players, but also develop the coaches, I think brings a lot of intangibles to the organization. Padres starting to do some things on offense a little bit of a 2-out rally. We will talk about that when we come back. We will get you an update on Padres baseball. We will also, when we come back, get to our midday sports standoff. Everybody always wants to know what Frank's question is. What's Frank got up his sleeve today? You want to call in? Try to take me down some sports trivia? 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. If you can successfully call in and get me in sports trivia, you will be qualified for a chance to win our weekly grand prize, a pair of tickets to Guns N' Roses at Snapdragon Stadium on September 2nd. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We'll play the game. We'll talk about how the Padres are doing when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. If you blinked this weekend, you probably missed a lot in local San Diego high school sports. Open Division basketball statement wins, wrestling, Masters drama, water polo, dynasties continuing, and spring sports officially underway. San Diego high school sports isn't just busy right now. It's defining who owns February and who's about to own the spring. And let's start in Solana Beach. I'll start with the boys basketball, and Frank's going to jump in with the girls basketball here. But Santa Fe Christian sends a message in front of a packed gym. Santa Fe Christian runs away from Cathedral Catholic High School, 82-53 in the Open Division quarterfinals. And once again, it was a haul. Dax Hall. He dropped 35 points, hitting from everywhere. Earlier this year, he had 42 against Cathedral. They just could not solve the Hall equation in the playoffs. Eagles hit 12 threes, only 4 turnovers, complete control. And now they host Francis Parker in the semifinals, and that feels like a de facto championship game because remember, Santa Fe Christian only has a couple of losses on the year. 2 of them are to Francis Parker. All 8 open teams do advance to the state regional, so it's not survive and advance. It's about seeding and momentum, and right now Santa Fe Christian looks like the most explosive team left. Should be a fun one against Francis Parker. Frank, what's going on in women's basketball?
Meanwhile, in San Marcos, 2-time defending champs Mission Hills survived a war with La Jolla County Day School, 53-46 game, tied 36-36. Going into the fourth quarter, freshman Maya Atkinson, averaging under 6 a game, scored 9 in the fourth quarter. She kept telling her coach all day, I'm ready for this. She absolutely was. Mission Hills hit 10 threes. La Jolla Country Day hit 3. That was the difference. Now Mission Hills heads to top-seeded Francis Parker. But here's what stood out. The open division on the girls' side might be deeper than we had expected because there were 2 big upsets. Grossmont knocked out Mater Dei Catholic, and Westview beat Cathedral Catholic. Now the bracket finds itself wide open.
Let's talk about wrestling. We talk about wrestling, usually talking about Poway. At Masters, Poway High School reminded everyone who the standard is. The Titans advanced all 14 wrestlers to the finals. They won 10. They scored over 400 team points. That's dominance. But one of the best stories came from Imperial High School. On his birthday, Noah Larios won his first Masters title at heavyweight, pinning his opponent with a 76-pound weight advantage and capping a steady climb from third to second to champion. Progression, development, also worth watching. Freshman battle at 106 between Granite Hills and Poway. That rivalry might define the next 4 years. State is coming in San Diego. We'll send some real contenders to the state level in wrestling. But girls water polo was finishing up some CIF championship games.
You said a 76-pound weight advantage?
Yeah, pretty good upset right there.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? To the pool, the Bishop School won its eighth consecutive Open Division title, 15th in 16 years, 8 straight. That is not just winning, that is institutional dominance. Meanwhile, Helix High School captured its first D1 title behind a 15-save performance in goal. Coronado, Scripps Ranch, new champions, new energy, water polo depth. See what I did there? In this section keeps growing.
Spring is here. We talked about lacrosse last week. We talked about track and field the week before. We're going to get to baseball and softball soon, but it's time for volleyball. Beach for the girls and indoor for the boys. Beach volleyball opened a couple of weeks ago with scrimmages, and guess who's chasing another one? That'd be Cathedral Catholic. The Dons have won all 3 Open Division titles since CIF sanctioned the sport. My heart might not be with the Dons as much as it might be with the Scripps Ranch Falcons. But anyway, Torrey Pines is chasing. Point Loma is loaded. La Jolla Beach Classic is coming up. And again, if you want to look at some of the big players, Scripps Ranch returns a lot of great players from last year's team that just won a D1 indoor championship. Right now, I'm looking at Torrey, Point Loma, Scripps Ranch, Cathedral Catholic on the open side. The Falcons of Scripps up at 1 o'clock. We're also going to get to our midday sports standoff in just a little bit. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Call in if you want an opportunity to try to take me down in sports trivia. Let's I do want to get to some other stuff with the Padres. I mean, there were so many great interviews with Ben and Woods and the Padres players throughout this week. Today, they had more on. I mean, Joe Musgrove just talked with the TV crew, well, the radio crew, if you will, Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. on the Padres broadcast. Before we get to Manny, here's some things that Padres did on offense. Tatis flew out. Gavin Sheets worked a walk. Cronenworth popped up. Laureano singled. Camposano grinded out an at-bat and ended up getting hit by a pitch, and then Ty France struck out swinging to end the inning. But Michael King has looked pretty good so far for the Padres, and he is already back in play and going for a third. So we'll see what he does here. But I think it might have been a home run that he just gave up. First batter he sees in the third inning. Christian Moore takes Michael King deep, so that's not fun. He looked good in the first 2 innings, though. You know what? Should have taken him out when we had the chance. What is Craig Stammen doing? Let's freak out about spring training.
Honestly, I don't mind. Like, I know I said it's been mostly 2 innings, but at 23 pitches, that's not a lot of work. So I really don't mind him going out for this third inning. And I really don't mind it at all.
He's working on stuff. He let that one leak a little bit too far in. He knew it as soon as he gave it up. That's a tough guy in left field. We've heard Jesse and Tony talk about that a lot, but it doesn't matter. I think Michael King's looked pretty sharp today. All right, let's get to some things from Manny Machado. Speaking of home runs, Manny Machado was asked about a couple of things from Bennett Woods. One of them was actually about home runs and whether or not he has made any adjustments at the plate this offseason to try to hit more home runs. Here's what Manny Machado had to say on Bennett Woods this morning.
Not really. I mean, just keep hitting it, keep scoring it up. Just keep scoring it up. Good things will happen. I did tell Eric Groom there, in a conversation we had earlier this year, about maybe bring in the fences a little bit. More seats for you. More seats for you. You could have more seats, more money. Like, why not? It's a win-win.
Business sense.
It's a win-win. It's a win for us, and it's a win for you. So I don't know if it's gonna happen, but that was an avenue that maybe I threw out there to see if it happens. But yeah, man, Petco Park it's been tough over the years to hit at with the ball flying. Not flying as much as it used to. Like my first year here, it did 18, 17, the balls were juiced and they were going. Yeah. Now it's not so much.
Are they different now? You guys can tell. I know you guys can tell.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference, but it's definitely a difference. It definitely is.
Why is your hand up?
I had a question.
Yes, Frank Marchese in the first row.
He does realize that if you move the fences in for the Padres, that moves the fences in for everyone else too, right?
I don't think he made it. I don't think he was talking how they're going to win more games. I just think he said he'd hit more.
Yeah, to hit more home runs. Yeah, but he does realize that other teams are going to hit more home runs too, if that were the case. Though.
I don't think that's a problem for him.
Okay.
I don't think he cares. I mean,
hey, listen, fair play.
Trust his pitching staff. We're talking about move the fence in for the Padres to hit more home runs. They didn't say anything about and we're going to be better. Just
so that does work.
More home runs.
That does work both ways. You know,
it does.
It's not like you put them on a rolling track and it's one ballpark for you, one for the other.
I think it was more of a joke than anything else, but yeah. There is a difference with the baseballs. You could always feel it with baseballs, softballs, whatever it may be. You can tell when a ball's squishy. You can tell when a ball's got is a rock and it can fly. And so they've obviously noticed. Hopefully, the baseballs don't change too much. Obviously, Manny's been hitting third for the majority of his career in a Padres uniform. Today, he's hitting second, I think, to get more at bats for the WBC. He was asked about Fernando hitting behind him because Fernando's been hitting cleanup the last couple of times. He's hitting cleanup again today. Manny's hitting second. But the boys asked Manny about a little bit extra lineup protection with the possibility of having Tatis hit behind him.
I mean, I've always been a big fan of, I think, our best years, offensively, selfishness of me and Toddy has been when we always backed each other up. When we're stacked in a lineup together, I think it's impressive. I mean, you got to pitch to one of us, right? You can't avoid us. Whether you're going to bring in a tough righty for us. Okay, I mean, this is what they pay us to do, right? This is what we're made up for. So I'm not worried about who we're going to face the matchup, but I think when we're stacked up together, I think we're just dangerous, and we're kind of the same hitter, so we kind of see, whether it's he's hitting behind me or I'm hitting behind him. We see what they're doing to us, right, as hitters. So, it's dangerous when we're stacked up together, and I think that's the best lineup whenever we are, and not so separated between each other.
I think he brings up a good point. I think the protection of each other, being next to each other, is huge. I mean, we haven't seen too much Manny in the 2-hole. I'd still rather have Merrill in the 2-hole, but then it separates a little bit. But if you're going to go Fernando 4 and Manny 3, that definitely sets up for a situation where it's tough to pitch to these guys. It's tough to pitch to these guys. You got to pick your poison. Now, we didn't talk about this during the break, Frank, but there, if you go to the clip, if you have the Fernando clips ready to go,
no,
download those real quick because Fernando is asked about it. He's asked about Manny's comments on having Fernando bat around him and either bat in front of him or bat behind him, and how good the Padres can be. And he thinks they're at their best, obviously, as Michael King is now leaving the game in Peoria. Michael King, 2 2/3 innings, 4 strikeouts. He gave up the 1 home run in the on the day to give the Angels their one run. And he exits with a runner on second now. We'll see what the Padres do in terms of a pitching change. But Manny Machado talked about hitting around Tatis. What's Tatis think about hitting next to Manny Machado? Here's what Fernando said.
I definitely agree that, because just hitting behind each other, it doesn't matter which order. I feel like we definitely make something happen. And, man, just, giving those pitchers back-to-back feeling on the same guy, it's just better for us in that standpoint, just by watching the pitchers, seeing what they're doing, how they're attacking us. And, in that moment, there's 2 against 1, in the same area. So let's see how our manager constructed. But I feel like we're in a good spot right now.
Yeah, then back-to-back would be pretty good. Right now in spring training, obviously, too early, and it's spring training, and they're all working on different stuff. In terms of working on different things, they asked Manny Machado about making adjustments to hit more home runs. What's Fernando's adjustments been this he made this offseason to improve at the plate? I thought last year Fernando did a great job of learning plate discipline, but it kind of hurt him in the terms of like the power numbers and a lot of the numbers that we've seen Fernando really rake in. What was Fernando's answer to what were your adjustments this year? What are you focusing on going into 2026?
Yeah, just a lot of great conversations with my hitting coach back there. And I don't want to say the adjustments that I make because they make adjustments on me.
That's right. Yeah. Good point. Nick Pivetta did the same thing. He said, not going to say too much now. A lot of great work out there. I started swinging the bat since November, obviously getting ready for the World Baseball Classic to be in a good point on that. But, man, I'm in a really healthy spot, and there's definitely more for me offensively. And, man, we're just going to find a way how to make it happen. When you're hitting at your best, what's it feel like? Like what pitch? Does it matter when you're locked in?
It definitely doesn't matter. I can drive an inside fastball, hit it that center field. I can hit off speed. Any part of the baseball field. So just looking how I can get there and sustain it. It's going to be the biggest part.
Fernando talking with Bennett Woods earlier today. Talked about the adjustments that he made, but also what were some of the goals he had set for the beginning of this season?
Right now I'm staying with short-term ideals, especially like week to week or day to day. So I know if I'm able to handle that and control that at the end of the day, at the end of the season, my numbers are going to be there. Especially I put my talent out there, and let it bring my A game every single day, and being able to control that mindset, I feel like that's going to be the biggest changer. And I know at the end of the season, there are going to be some crazy numbers out there.
I think Fernando's poised to have a good year. I thought last year he was going to have a good year. I thought he did a really good job of the plate discipline. I think a lot of Fernando's problems last year was not being protected in the lineup. I mean, he was batting leadoff, which is fine. I like him batting in the leadoff spot. I didn't like where he was at in terms of like who was batting behind him. But at the same time, you have number 9 batting in front of you, and you have a Rise batting behind you. It's a little bit different. Like Manny said, when talking about hitting around Fernando, you got to pitch to one of us. Previously, the Luisa Rise is going to chase a lot of crap out of the zone and swing at it, and almost we're like, hey, look, I can hit this. Look how I can hit this. So for Fernando, he was very disciplined. He could have got more frustrated and swung at pitches way out of the zone. Instead, he walked a lot more. I think that's going to add to his game. And now, the way that the lineups have been constructed the last couple of days in spring training, we'll see what happens when the regular season happens. If he gets protection, Frank, based on what he did last year, he is poised to have a really good year, because the biggest problems that he had in years where he put up big numbers were still chasing out of the zone and swinging at pitches that he can't do damage on.
Yeah, he has been a lot more selective over these last couple of years, but that's also another thing. He moved Again, I don't mind moving him to the leadoff hitter because that's just the way baseball is becoming now. But if you look, the most damage he's done in his career is when he's batting third or fourth. And it's usually when Manny's batting either third or fourth, whichever one he's not in. So there definitely is something to that. I think a move back in the lineup, again, while I don't necessarily disagree with moving him up to the number one spot in the lineup, I think moving him back might be the best overall thing that the Padres can do, not just for him, but by helping him, you're also helping yourself as well.
I still think he's a dynamic player that needs the bat in the leadoff spot. And if you look at his numbers, he is better batting leadoff than he is batting second or third. The only other numbers that he has that are good are batting fourth. He's hitting 308 batting fourth. He's only had 186 plate appearances batting fourth.
Might have been, I would have to assume that's right around when he came up.
He hit fourth mostly in 2021.
Yeah.
In 2021, he hit cleanup and hit 333 in 33 games. So he has hit cleanup in 33 games in 2021. He hit cleanup 8 times in 2023, hit 296. Last year, he only hit cleanup 5 times. He hit 167. But it's 5 games. Like, that could be it's not really a noticeable deal.
No, that's not. That's too small a sample size.
And so is the 46 games in the 4 spot. So I wonder if more at-bats there will get in there. But, I mean, career batting leadoff, 291 with a 905 OPS. The only other spots where he has a higher OPS have been in spots that he's had less than 200 plate appearances. Mm-hmm. I mean, because if you look at that, like batting fifth, he's hitting 429. He has 7 at-bats. Batting fifth. His opening day now, I think when he made his major league debut, I think he hit 6th that day, if I'm not mistaken. He has hit 9th 5 times. He's hitting 400. Maybe they should bat him last, Frank.
Yeah, let's go for that.
I'm
for it.
Last thing for you on the Fernando conversation with Ben and Woods, the stutter step at third base. Why doesn't he do it anymore?
I mean, starter step is definitely there. Just having some feel, for the game. We're losing 6-1, and I hit a solo shot. I think I should be doing starter step around third base. You know what I'm saying?
It's called growth, right? Like we all grow, everyone grows. And
it depends how the team is looking. Some days we're not playing our best, so a little bit. I don't want to say angry, but a little bit toughness out there, for the boys, and then kind of push of let's go. We gotta clean this up, and we gotta find a way how to make it happen. But starter step is definitely there. It's definitely a celebration, but just have some feel of the game, and how we're looking, how we're feeling, and it's gonna be there.
What a concept!
Love that.
What a concept!
It comes with getting older. It comes with, at the beginning part of your career, you're trying to make a statement. You're flashy. You're trying to show that you belong in the major leagues, and I'm me, and all that stuff. And then as you get older, and you start to wise up and mature a little bit. I mean, that's great. That's exactly what I want to hear from Fernando. There's nothing worse than watching a guy, showboat down 8. You're like, all right, dude, sick.
Yeah,
you're sick, bro.
Yeah,
you're sick, bro. I see that all the time in the college level, and it's just like, oh, dude, you're so sick.
Are you looking at the scoreboard right now?
I hate that in high school sports. Like when I coach high school sports, I mean, the guys that usually run their mouth the most on other teams are usually when they're getting their ass handed to them. It's just like, bro, what? There was a kid last year that did that. We were like beating up on some team, and this receiver was having a good day, but they were down 21 points, Frank.
Merrill.
He starts popping off on I got 100 yards on your ass.
That's cool. We got 21 points on yours.
And he's like, I don't care about winning. I just care about my personal stats.
And that's what's wrong with
That's what's wrong with the youth right there. Absolutely. Have fun playing Power 4 football, which you won't get an offer for with that attitude.
Speaking of the youth not having problems, though, Jackson Merrill, a hustle double So hit him number 3 every single day. Thank you very much.
He provides protection for Fernando for sure. I like him in the 2 spot. Pitchers. Pavetta and Joe talked to Ben and Woods. We're going to hear what they had to say. They had some interesting comments. I like Pavetta's comments about the 3-on-3 hockey. He's still complaining about it. The Canadian at heart has to give his take on 3-on-3 Olympic hockey. We're not going to play the sound on that. But interesting comments from Pavetta and Musgrove when we return. 1 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show. We are broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. You know what you do at 1 o'clock? When I remember, get to the
lunchtime.
The lunch hour is in the noon hour.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I heard we might be feeling some tacos.
I'm feeling tacos, you know.
What does Estrada say about that?
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where are the damn tacos at?
They're coming. The tacos are coming. We might have to ask Estrada. We might have to keep asking every day until the tacos are finally here. But the tacos are coming, Jeremiah. Tacos are coming. All right. Let's get to today's biggest fan. Congratulations to today's biggest fan, Edmund Brasseur in San Diego. Edmund Brasseur in San Diego. Give us a call within the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game with all the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 97throughthefansd.com/biggest fan. Edmund Brasseur. Brasseur? Brasseur. Edmund Brasseur, San Diego. Got 10 minutes. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Good. There's that. Padres are down 1-0 top 4. You're going to get some extra work today out of the guys going to the World Baseball Classic, which is Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Manny Machado. Also, Alec Jacob, who is pitching right now. He has gone an inning and a third after coming in for relief of Michael King, who went 2 2/3, giving up 1 earned run on 2 hits, 4 strikeouts. It was the 1 home run that was his only real blemish in the contest. But Michael King, I thought, looked pretty good today, Frank.
Yeah, he looked great. I'm not concerned at all about that home run that he gave up to Christian Moore. We haven't seen starters really go beyond that 2-inning mark, and to throw 23 pitches over 2 innings is absolutely incredible for a guy who's coming off of the injury that he had last year, just not being able to play much, only threw that 1 inning against the Cubbies in Game 3 of the wild card series. So there's a lot to be excited about as far as Michael King is concerned with what you saw today.
You know, like when people get upset with their team on the on production,
yep,
and people on social media just go, well, you know what's the phrase that they always put out there? Sell the team. I can't wait for those tweets this year. One's on it right now. Sell the team. Oh wait, that's pretty good.
You are selling.
Yeah, I can't wait for those. That's going to happen a handful of times. First loss of the year. Sell the team. Bad outing. Sell the team. Sell the team. All right. Updates from today from Peoria, and then we'll get to what Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta talked about with Bennett Woods. Sungmoon Song, he played yesterday, and he's trying to adjust to MLB velocity. He is now fully recovered from the oblique issue, Frank, so no injury status for Sungmoon Song. Trevor, we did give out the biggest fan today. It was not Trevor.
No, it was not.
I don't know if that's your real name or not, but it was not Trevor. Focus has shifted.
Has Trevor not? Did we not call Trevor's name? I thought we have.
I don't know. They have to be present to win, so I don't.
No, I know. I think we had. He was the first name we called.
Well, that sucks.
Trevor called your name on November 3rd. You did answer too.
Well, maybe he's just wondering for everybody else. I don't know. Your guy called. He's called in right now. Stop. Close the yearbook,
I didn't
Frank.
see that.
Close the yearbook.
I'm not.
Sungmoon Song's adjustments to MLB velocity. So the focus has shifted to catching up to the fastball. We thought this was going to be the case. That recently began. He facing high velocity machine work, tracking 100-mile-an-hour pitches without swinging. They put him through an accelerated velo program to speed up his adaptation. And through 2 Cactus League games and 5 plate appearances, he's 0 for 4 with the walk. He has not swung at any of the 3 strikes seen at 97+ miles an hour. He was called out on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. He rolled over on a 96-mile-an-hour sinker, and he struck out on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball from Shota Imanaga. Are you talking to yourself over there? Oh, you're talking down the line?
No, yeah, I hear Ello coming in, testing his line, and saying some very nice things.
About Inter Milan?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
About Inter Milan.
Oh, of course. Chris Ello trying to be hip yesterday with the soccer talk was hilarious. Can you hear me? That's great. I love it. I hope he does.
I don't think he can.
Ah, what a shame. Juan had a great opportunity yesterday. I continue to say that. All right, back to Sungwoon Song. Did you get what I was talking about before? I know you're talking to the biggest fan. Congratulations to Edmund.
Yes, congratulations.
But Sungwoon Song is going through a velocity acceleration program, a velo program, if you will, to adjust to major league pitching.
Yeah, same thing that Ha-Sung Kim had to go through.
Right.
Same thing that Hai-Sung Kim had to go through.
I don't know if the program is the same that they did with,
I'm
with
just
Ha-Sung
saying.
Kim.
I'm just saying that's the same.
Yes,
the
it's
same
expected.
issue that those guys go through when they come over here. Yeah.
But anyway, they're having him track 100-mile-an-hour pitches. They're having him work against high velocity machine work. He's 0 for 4 so far this year with a walk. He was called out on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, rolled over on a 96-mile-an-hour sinker, and struck out on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball from Shota Imanaga. The average fastball in the KBO is 91 to 92. In Major League Baseball, the baseline velocity is 95, 96. Obviously, the adjustment here is not about the strength. It's about the timing and starting pre-swing movement earlier, retraining rhythm and pitch recognition, repetition required to build new habits. According to Craig Stammen and hitting coach Steven Souza Jr., they have emphasized volume of at-bats, and the organization is referencing the development arc of Ha-Sung Kim as a blueprint. So for Sungwoon Song, it's going to be getting up to the speed of the league. I don't necessarily, as much as I floated out the idea about him starting in the minor leagues, can he get that type of action in AAA? I mean,
I'm sure there are.
You got guys that probably throw in the mid to high 90s in AAA. I don't know if it's just as common of occurrence, but to me, that's where I think he needs to start until he's up to speed on catching up to a fastball that's fat that comes in that hot. Frank,
I would honestly, if you want him to get up to speed faster, no pun intended, just have that pitching machine emulate Mason Miller. Just fire him in at like 5 miles an hour faster than he will ever see from anyone else, and just let him go from there. Figure it out from there.
They're having him track 100-mile-an-hour pitches right now. That's probably good enough. I don't think he needs to track 105.
Everything else is slower at that point.
Yeah, everything's going to be slow. He's out in front of everything.
Well,
dang it.
It's easier to wait than it is to speed up, is it not?
There's an interesting conversation that Kevin AC put out today about the bullpen logjam. Is there a logjam in the bullpen? It's interesting. It sounds like it's a good problem.
Yeah, that is of all of the good problems to have on a baseball team, that is the best good problem to have. Yes,
except for the fact that you're going to have to part ways with some of these guys, and not in a sense of they're going to El Paso, in a sense of they are not going to be part of the organization anymore. He brings up in his daily, it's not really, I don't know if it's his newsletter yet, but his daily notes about the logjam. The Padres have been fielding calls on their bullpen arms. Oh, more red cards getting handed out. Is Juventus playing?
Yeah, looks like Gotti just got a red.
Everybody's getting cards now. Back to the bullpen logjam. Padres are receiving trade calls and relievers. Their bullpen was arguably MLB's best in 2025. Hard to argue with that. And they have 6 virtual locks. Miller, Estrada, Morgan, Hoeing, Morajon, Peralta. Those are the locks. Any questions with that?
No.
Okay. Likely additions if healthy. Adam and Matsui. Yes?
Yeah.
How many are those names there, by the way?
That's what? 6?
That's 8.
Oh.
With the likely additions if healthy. That's 8 arms. If you're carrying 8 relievers, there are no open spots now.
And folks, I know you're going to say, oh, we'll trade Yuki Matsui. That's a lot of money that he is making. That is a hard trade to make unless you're going to eat something. You got to eat some money in that case.
Or find somebody that really wants him. But
yes.
They are fielding calls on relievers, so maybe.
Yeah, I would not hold my breath if you're in the trade Yuki Matsui for the love of
I need a better solution suggestion.
Yeah, don't hold your breath on that one.
Other viable arms for the bullpen, though. Ty Adcock, who they signed to a major league deal in the beginning. He was the first signing of the offseason.
Right thereabouts.
The Italians, Alec Jacob and Ron Marinaccio. Alec Jacob still has options. Ron Marinaccio does not.
I don't see. I don't see Marinaccio winning the job outright. I see him making the team if Adam is on the IL.
Or Matsui, who hurt his groin with Team Japan.
Yeah, if either one of them start the year on the IL, I could definitely see Marinaccio making the team. If they don't, that one's going to be a tough one to eat, but you might have to eat it.
So Ty Adcock, Alec Jacob, Ron Marinaccio, Bradley Rodriguez, who is a hard-throwing 22-year-old who impressed late last season, and Kyle Hart. Now, another question to this is, and I think it's interesting, and we'll talk about it when we come back, but with the emergence of Bradley Rodriguez, if Bradley Rodriguez has a great spring and looks like he can control his fastball and continue to throw at a high velo and really be that guy, does that make someone like Jeremiah Estrada or David Morgan tradable for the Padres? Is that because those are valuable assets? That's the thing. Those are players that teams would want. Obviously, if you're a Padres fan, you want to keep all of these great players, and you don't want to keep some of the guys that aren't as great, but sometimes they have the most trade value. Is Bradley Rodriguez the key to unlock what could be a good trade here in spring training to improve this team at the expense of Estrada and Morgan, who are also hard throwers? And again, Rodriguez is 22, and he's going to be under contract for a long time. It's an interesting question. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego State Sports Station 97 through the Fan. San Diego Torero fans, time for your weekly University of San Diego Toreros update covering baseball, men's basketball, softball. Toreros have been making waves this past week, and there's plenty to break down heading into this next week of games. For baseball, this is the big program for USD on the men's side. They're riding a 5-game winning streak, now highlighted by a Tony Gwynn Legacy Tournament sweep. They look dominant in local competition. Sophomore CJ Moran, transfer from San Diego State, has been unstoppable this weekend. He got off to a slow start. He led the Aztecs in hitting last year, comes over to USD, off to a slow start. He was hitting under 200, but had a 450 on-base percentage. That told you everything you needed to know about whether or not CJ Moran was going to turn it up or not. Multi-hit games in back-to-back contests, 4 RBIs in consecutive games. Oh, and by the way, his first Toreros home run against his former team, the San Diego State Aztecs, on Sunday night. Hit that ball into the Toreros bullpen in front of Raggers Rail at Tony Gwynn Stadium. Not bad. CJ Moran, you are a Torero.
Yep, absolutely. And fitting right in. And this whole Torero offense has been very, very good especially over the Tony Gwynn tournament. 15 runs in consecutive games, 10 walks, 8 stolen bags, most since 2022, 2025, scoring in bunches, controlling the middle innings, and manufacturing runs even when hits were scarce. This was a very, very dangerous team throughout the entirety of the Tony Gwynn tournament.
Yeah, I mean, the offense has been legit. They outscored their opponents 30 to, 9? 30 to 9 in 2 games.
Between Creighton and San Diego State.
Andrew Ganas looked pretty good as a transfer from CSUN, who went to Patrick Henry High School, another local kid, back playing for the Toreros. He had 3 hits and 4 RBIs against the Aztecs. Tanner Kern has contributed. Tanner Kern, I tell you what, Tanner Kern has leaned into too many pitches. Because he's getting hit. He's been hit a lot of times. He was hit a lot of times this past weekend, and 2 of them almost went to review. He got away with the flipper out there. So Tanner's got to be a little concerned. He's got to be a little bit more cautious about that.
He's a freshman. He's learning.
Sticking his elbow pad into the strike zone to get hit by a pitch. Drake Fries earned his first win of the season. 5 strong innings, bullpen cleanly closed games. And for Drake Fries, made a start against Charlotte. It was his first appearance in 20 months. Because of Tommy John surgery. He had a very interesting story, and he's back
in his second start did really well. He gave up the 3 runs only in 1 inning, but really settled in, got his first win of the season. Good to see Drake Fry's back.
Yep. Congratulations to him. And you will have the call for the next game, which will be tomorrow as we're recording this on Monday, against UC San Diego.
Yeah, the game will be on ESPN Plus. I will not be doing that. Ted Mendenhall usually does the ESPN Plus version. I will be on USDToreros.com tomorrow on Tuesday. So it should be a fun time. Men's basketball. Senior day was over the weekend. USD fell to LMU 77-65 in their final home game and senior day. They celebrated 7 Torero seniors, including Tenari Lane and Adrian McIntyre. Despite a late comeback, LMU shooting efficiency, especially from 3-point range, proved too much. And they jumped out to the same lead that they had last time. Now, LMU, the last time these guys played, outscored the Toreros 17-0 to get the game started, led to a 29-7 start. This time, 21-7. This time it was 21-9 at a break. It's same start. LMU shot the lights out. At one point they're shooting 80% with 10 minutes to go in the first half. It's tough to overcome that, but back-to-back overtime games for the first time in team history. A couple of games ago, they had record-setting 15 3-pointers this year over Washington State. Grad guards consistently led scoring in key games. To kind of talk about some of the season highlights for a team that will now be without their head coach because they're going in a different direction, Frank.
Yeah, we got that news late last week that Steve Lavin was not going to be back with the team going into next year. For the Toreros right now, you got 2 games left on the season. You've got the Oregon Beavers coming up on Wednesday, and then you're closing the season against Portland on Saturday night. Both of those games are going to be on the road.
Yeah, Oregon State. And these are teams, again, here's the thing. USD basketball, as poor as they have played the last couple of games, could still play for a first-round bye in the West Coast Conference Tournament with a couple of good games. We'll see what happens. Steve Lavin is still staying on as the coach and is going to coach through the end of the year, through the end of the West Coast Conference Tournament. Long Beach State did that with Dan Monson. Got him to the NCAA tournament. You know what? Crazier things have happened in college basketball. In softball, strong weekend at the Purple Classic. They improved to 7-7 overall. Softball team for USD claimed a 6-3 victory over North Florida. Taylor Johnson, local product, 3 RBIs, 2 doubles, consistent at-bat performance. Haley Mulligan, Caitlin Wainia, and Shanice Hogue-Lacey all contributing key RBIs. Charlie Johnson.
Talking about pitching right now with the Padres, I want to mention that all of our guests on 97 Through the Fan join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local, each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Question we had going to break. With Bradley Rodriguez's emergence, could that make someone like Estrada or Morgan more tradable? I think it's an interesting deal, but I do think you would be taking a risk, Frank, if that is the case with the bullpen. He's 22 years old. He'd be under control for a long period of time, as we know. Obviously, when you look at the overall look of the San Diego Padres in terms of contracts and age, you want to keep guys like Bradley Rodriguez, and you also want to be able to fit in other guys on your team, like with the most value as possible with some of these contracts. Now, David Morgan is not even arbitration eligible yet, and he's 26.
Mm-hmm.
That's a valuable asset. And the same thing with like Jeremiah Estrada. The only difference there is Jeremiah Estrada is 27 years old, but he is also not arbitration eligible until next season. So even though those guys might be a little bit more expendable because they are also hard throwers, I really don't see that being a big move for the Padres unless they could get something back that's controllable in a different position, because this is a big strength for San Diego, and these are young arms that are controllable, and these are the guys that you want in your organization to be a strength to counteract a lot of your big contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a guy like Bradley Rodriguez, who came up last year and had a good showing, you want to be able to find a place for him, but you also have to realize it's going to come at the expense of somebody who is like him in that regard. So, you want to try to stockpile these players as much as you can, but if you think that there's a guy who may have more upside that's waiting in the wings, you're going to have to give up somebody. And I think of the two that you just mentioned, Morgan and Estrada, I think Estrada might be the more likely and the easier one to let go. Not necessarily because of his age, but because if you think it looks as though his upside might be a little bit higher, a little bit lower than Morgan's and potentially Rodriguez as well.
Well, you have to evaluate what you think you can get out of Morgan and Morgan and Estrada long term. Estrada's 27. Like,
he's not old.
He's not, and he's controllable. And the question is, like, can you dangle him as being a potential starter to somebody while you get, but then at the same time, you're trying to, like, where do you still need help with? It's usually starting pitching. I know they got a lot of older arms now, but the conversation is really interesting with that. Like, do you get a young, controllable piece at first base? I mean, right now, if you could get a for sure young player position wise under team for, I saw that text.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're being corrected.
Brad Glay?
Yes, Brad Glay Rodriguez.
I've heard his name pronounced 18 different ways, and every time it's a new way.
I would have to assume that Sam
would be finally the right one.
I would have to assume that Sam would be right on that because he speaks a lot with Pedro Gutierrez, who speaks a lot with Brad Glay Rodriguez. So
the problem I have with this is a lot of these guys, they change it year to year because they don't want to correct anybody. I just want to get it right. And it's like, it's always changing. And then one year it's this and the next year it's that. It's like, oh, if you say it like this, that's more traditional, but I like going, but you can call me that. No. Don't say you can call me. What is it?
Yeah, exactly.
What is it? And it's so they're always so afraid to do this with pronunciations.
It's like the Ron Hare Suarez gimmick.
Exactly. We called him Ranger forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said. And then he's like, oh, well, it's actually Ron Hare. And then, it's the Adrian and Adrian. I've heard that multiple times. Which one is it? Which one are we going with? Whatever it is, put it in. So it's Brad Glay.
Don't take my caucasity into account as to when you're telling me how to pronounce your name. Tell me how I'm supposed to say it, and I'll figure it out.
But that's everybody though. Like,
yes,
at USD they have a kid named DeShiver. And I've heard multiple ways for it. And like a lot of the kids, they get asked, write your name phonetically. And they don't put a lot of time and effort into it. And they just throw something on there and then ends up being wrong. It's like, no.
That's how
How do you say your name? Well, you could call me this. You can call me this. No. What is it? What is it?
If you look, I have it up on screen right now, the Sports Thread thing with my handle in it. That's how you pronounce my last name. It's Marquez. That's how you pronounce it. So my phonetic pronunciation is my handle. That's not just cute. That's a tool for everyone to use.
Brad Glay Rodriguez. So Brad Glay Rodriguez is the proper pronunciation. I don't not believe this. It happens all the time. We have it's always multiple changes to pronunciations.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it's because, nobody wants a lot of the people don't want to correct you, right? I do that too all the time. I don't correct people that call me Brandon because I've been used to it for so long.
Yeah,
and I feel bad. And I got to a point where, like, they want it to be right.
Yeah, I don't do it with doctors anymore. I used to do it at like school. The only time I would do it at school was to make sure when people got it right was if it was like graduation or if it was something important. Then that's when I could care less.
I overdid the phonetic spelling on the graduation thing I had to do. Now, the benefit is the guy that was announcing my name when I graduated was one of my teachers anyway, so that was easier. Yeah. But yeah, overdo the phonetic thing. And again, athletes,
don't be afraid to correct people. Say how you're supposed to be, like how your name is supposed to be said.
Well, I'll use an example. I'll go back to auto racing in the 80s for this one. There was a driver, if you watch Formula One, you know the name Ayrton Senna, widely regarded as the greatest driver in Formula One history. Murray Walker was the commentator at that point, and when he started his career, he called him Ayrton Senna. But as time went by, he started to call him the British way, which was Ayrton Senna. And it was actually a sit-down interview between the two of them where Senna was like, you don't call me Ayrton anymore. You got lazy, I guess. And from that day on, Murray Walker never called him Ayrton Senna again. It was always Ayrton Senna. So yeah, if you tell us how to pronounce your name, we will listen. We will 100% listen to you.
So back to the conversation with the bullpen. If Bradley Rodriguez is a guy that, you think could be part of this team long term, and does he make it a sense to trade somebody else in the bullpen to improve your team? If you could take one guy right now, or one position, I should say, for the Padres and replace that position with a young, controllable major leaguer, what position is that as of right now?
Like trade out of or get back?
No, get back in return. You're gonna turn
either starting pitcher or first base. One of the two.
Right. So what's valuable in trading is usually starting pitching. So it's going to be hard pressed to trade a relief pitcher to a team for a young, controllable starter back, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ probably can work his magic. But what team?
You mean Houdini?
What team would take a young, controllable pitcher like Estrada or Morgan and give up a future young, controllable starter that's close? Because the other thing too, Frank, they got to be kind of close to the major leagues.
Yes.
You can't take an 18-year-old pitcher and wait for him to develop. You already have those guys. You can't trade for a Cruz Schoolcraft.
No, you have to trade for like just a Connor Griffin just for a name. I know the Pirates would never give up Connor Griffin, the number one prospect in baseball, for a relief pitcher, but it has to be a guy who is like that close to being in the major leagues, like a Marcelo Mayer or like a Roman Anthony, guys who are on the fringe of being an everyday major leaguer.
Correct. I know Mason Miller got traded for Leo, but that's not what I'm saying. Is you can't trade. Teams are not going to trade a starting controllable pitcher for a bullpen piece. And Mason Miller's, way ahead of Estrada and Morgan. To me, Estrada is a guy that is either a future closer or a potential piece in terms of value to dangle the carrot. Oh, he's 27. Like, he's got the stuff to potentially be a starter. We're thinking about making him be a star. Like the whole Michael King thing with the Yankees, because he was around the same age, right? At 27 years old. Yeah, because we talked about the same thing with Morejon potentially being a starter, and we compared him to Michael King. Jeremiah Estrada is the same age as Morejon. So if you want to sell that to potentially get pieces back, teams that are going to want that are not going to give up a young, controllable pitcher, because at that point, Estrada would be the guy to turn into a starting pitcher anyway for you. So why would you give it up to get something back that's the same position like that? It doesn't make sense. So then it goes to, is trading a Jeremiah Estrada or a David Morgan, is that worth bringing in a young, controllable first baseman that's close to the big leagues? That's where that conversation goes, in my opinion.
Just to throw out a name like a Nicholas Kurtz type, like he's on the fringe. He's just about there.
Yeah, like exactly.
Like that type of player. Not necessarily him, but that type of player.
But you would have to find that type of player. Or maybe it's a guy that's blocked.
Right.
or he is the guy that's blocking somebody else. And so, I don't know the Orioles organization, but like Baltimore could use pitching, and they have all of this backup for first base. Like I would have to have a first base catcher DH type player to get back. Maybe not as much catcher, because that's kind of the only position right now that's really comfortable at this point in time. But a real an everyday first baseman type.
I'd love to
corner outfielder maybe, because Laureano's gone at the end of the year, unless you re-sign him. Corner outfielder, first baseman. You would have to make a deal like that with Baltimore and get something, and where it's, Baltimore frees up a spot to bring up a young guy, or they give you the young guy and they upgrade their bullpen. Like, to me, that's like how you would have to make a trade like that. And that's probably what teams are calling right now, because who always needs bullpen help? Teams that are good or teams that are bad?
Teams that are good.
Teams that are good.
I honestly, I wouldn't be. I know he's not going to be able to get it done because he's too good as far as like a controllable arm. But I would love to see a guy like Tyler Soderstrom come here. That would be a very, very good first base fit.
Well, I will say this with AJ Preller. He usually, after, there's rumors out there about potential players that he can get, and then he goes and grabs players that you didn't even know were available.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, "Oh,
that's the only reason why I would say that out loud, is to try to speak that one into the ether." I've always loved Tyler Soderstrom as a player. I think he would be very, very good here.
The other part of this conversation is about the situation with during the offseason. What did AJ Preller say? We don't necessarily want to take from a strength to try to make everything mediocre. Mm-hmm. I think eventually in spring training they're going to have to, because they're going to have to cut guys.
Yeah.
And right now you have the leverage as guys compete, but once you get closer you get to opening day, the more you lose your leverage, because teams go, well, you're going to have to cut this guy anyway. I could just pick him up in waivers and make something happen, which is a little bit different than trying to get the most out of it on a potential trade.
It's another reason why. Let me just watch that.
Spring training for everybody.
Yeah, no, I know. As Manny play at third. Manny literally picked up Zach Nato's leg and tagged him and appealed. I lost my train of thought, honestly.
Got distracted by
I got distracted by the errant throw.
Come on, man. We got to lock back in here. Got to lock back in. We're going to take a break and let Frank lock back in. We'll get back to that thought. We're going to talk about the Aztecs game too. But interesting that the Padres are getting phone calls about their bullpen, because I think a lot of people know that it's a massive strength, and a lot of people are starting to do the math game. Not everybody can stay on this team.
I remember now.
I can't wait to hear it when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 to the Fan. Time for another update on the Aztecs here on a Monday, as we will take a look at what happened with men's basketball, with baseball, softball, and women's basketball. And, of course, got to start with the men's basketball program. We talked a lot about it on the show earlier in the week, but Aztecs fell to Colorado State 83-74 in Fort Collins. They snapped a strong road performance streak. Key takeaway, Aztecs press defense struggled early. Colorado State's 13 three-pointers and 29 free throws were too much to overcome. Bench continued to shine. They outscored Colorado State's bench 27-8. The 22nd time this season the Aztecs bench has outscored the opponent. But the problem was losing on the road to Colorado State. Mark Ziegler had in his article about where the team is right now, with ongoing conversations about where they're going to play next year and everything like that. A lot of distractions for a team that saw their chances of making it as an at-large bid go from 65% to now 27%, as according to the latest metrics.
Yeah, this was truly a devastating loss for San Diego State as far as the championship window is concerned for them. I mean, they have to win the conference tournament now. There's really no other way in. But in order to even consider winning the championship, the conference tournament, you have to really buckle down against Utah State later this week. And then you've got Boise State, you've got New Mexico as well. I mean, that is a rough go of it you've put yourself in.
They're still on the bubble, but they're on the bubble out. Their resume is now out of the top 50, which is not great in terms of making the tournament as an at-large. We said 2-1 against those next three opponents, and you got a good chance. That was assuming that you beat Colorado State and take care of business against Grand Canyon. Now, you got to go a perfect 3-0 against Boise State, New Mexico, on the road. They're both quad 1 games, and then at home against Utah State, also a quad 1 game. The tournament committee looks at quad 1 wins, and the Aztecs right now have 1, and they need more than that if they want to make the NCAA tournament outright. Otherwise, they're going to have to get hot in Vegas. Now, the good news is for the Aztecs in terms of trying to win the regular season outright, they still could do that. Utah State lost over the weekend. So you're getting a Utah State team that lost over the weekend, limping in here to Viejas Arena. You really got to bring your A game against the Aggies if you want to even consider being in that position, as well as trying to win a share of the Mountain West Conference at the end of the regular season. But, this is an Aztec formula that has been strong defensively and bench scoring, but they have now lost back-to-back games, and that rarely happens under Coach Dutcher. So hopefully they can bounce back and beat Utah State on Wednesday. Now, men's baseball, early season highlights. Rohan Latala named Mountain West Pitcher of the Week after a 3-0 shutout against BYU on Friday. Struck out 10. Aztecs did stumble in the Tony Gwynn legacy against USD. They lost 15-4 after the Toreros got off to a hot start. And they got an upcoming challenge. I mean, they got to go up to UCLA on Tuesday, number 1 of the country. And then they will go up to the Pacific Northwest to take on Washington. Tough weekend for the Aztecs. They did beat BYU, had a tough time against Utah, and then USD really exposed the lack of pitching depth for the Aztecs.
Yeah, I think it was 11-0 in like the second inning or so.
11-0 after 2.5 innings.
Yeah, so USD really put it on them in that last game. But for San Diego State, new head coach, we're trying to figure out different ways of doing things. We're trying to find our standing, as it were, not just with the Mountain West, but with ourselves as well. So it's you can kind of see the iffy start in there, but there's still a lot of time left in this baseball season.
They handled Long Island pretty easily, and then they ran into some tough competition. Irvine on a Tuesday, they're one of the best teams in Southern California to play in this Tony Gwynn Legacy tournament. Obviously, beating BYU was good out of the Power 4. Losing to Utah was tough because I watched that Utah team play in person, and they're not very good. But the thing is with Kevin Vance, he's a pitching guy, and he runs the pitching staff. And the biggest problem that the Aztecs had against USD was just throwing strikes. I mean, that's an it's not easy to fix sometimes, but it's a fixable problem. They had good stuff. They couldn't throw strikes. 12 free passes in the first 3 innings issued by Aztec pitching. And that is 9 walks and 3 hit batsmen, led to 11 runs. I mean, the Toreros got 11 runs on 5 hits. It's not even like they were just racking up the hits. They were being pesky in the box, and they weren't going to swing at crap. And when you play a team like USD that doesn't swing at garbage, you got to be able to throw strikes.
Yeah, and there's not.
138, final segment, Braden Surprenant Show. We're going to talk about, did you lose your train of thought when talking to Adam during the break?
No,
we're back on it.
Yep. We've hopped back on the train here.
Floating here. What's going on? Why are we floating on YouTube?
Why are we floating?
What's going on?
Oh, well, there we go. Now we're locked back in here.
Locked back in. All right. What was your final thoughts before we get to Aztecs basketball?
When you talk about making a trade, a splash trade, and having your leverage, that's why a start like you had a couple days ago with a guy like Tristan McKenzie doesn't really help you. Because whether you feel as though he can make the team or not, if he has a good outing, you could possibly use him as a trade piece to say Kansas City, just to throw out a team. Like, hey, this guy, he's not going to make our team, but he's pitching well. We might, if you want him, we can maybe cut you a deal.
I don't think you can trade minor league deal guys and non-roster invitees.
No, I'm just saying, it's like that.
You would have to put them on your roster and then trade. But
I'm saying like that type of player is a guy who's he's not going to make our team, but he can work with you.
You're on the right track. That is more for guys that are getting beat out by Tristan McKenzie.
Yes.
Those are guys like if Yuki Matsui has a great spring training, which he's banged up, I'm just saying as an example, right? And he's doing really well, and he looks lights out and just unbelievable. But he just doesn't look as good as somebody else that's a non-roster invitee. That's the guy you can trade.
Is Marco Gonzalez on the 40?
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's a non-roster invitee. You can't. It's not those guys. It is
Herman Marquez.
It's Randy Vasquez. Right, but he's had options, and again, that's like the leverage again. They know that I can just wait. If you're floating him out there, I can just wait, especially if I'm higher on the pecking order when it comes to, the waiver wire. So it's all about, and these teams know what you have, and they all have the rosters and depth chart. I mean, what they evaluate for every team, and so there's only so much of that you can do without the other team knowing. Why is this guy in the market? Right? Oh, he's probably not going to make the team. Let's be. Yeah. Same thing with why the Phillies couldn't trade Castellanos. It's not that he wasn't valuable.
Yeah,
it was the fact that it's like I'm
not.
Well, not only that, like you can negotiate some money off of it, but it's why am I giving some player up for this when I can just wait for him to get cut? And that's where you run. That's the problem you run into later on or closer to opening day, because teams know one of these guys isn't making it. Why am I going to give up a player that I have control over when we can force their hand and make him cut the guy? So a lot of that's in play too. Padres actually they've loaded the bases. Good to see. Let's talk about Aztec basketball to kind of close this show out. As of right now, the Padres have the bases loaded in the bottom of the sixth inning. They're down 1-0 to the Angels. When I drive by today, as I go to the pond, I'm going to the pond tonight, the Honda Center. Ducks and Oilers. Connor McDavid's probably going to play, right? He should.
I would have to assume so. Him, Leon Draisaitl, Leo Carlson is going to be activated tonight by the Quackers, so you'll get to see.
There you go,
Leo.
It'll be a fun time going up there. When I pass Angel Stadium to get there, am I going to hear Calling All the Angels?
Yes, you will.
Just on loop.
We said that before.
We haven't played the well, they've been off for 3 weeks. I totally forgot. I mean, the NHL's been off for 3 weeks, so I haven't been able to. We haven't played.
No Ben Afquack.
No
recently.
Ben Afquack. We got goals galore up there right now.
Wait, that's
or is that a replay?
No, that's actually huge because now they're
tied in the aggregate. I literally look up for 2 seconds. I've looked up at that screen 3 times for 3 goals.
And that's one of the Americans too. That's
an American playing for Juventus.
Yeah. On a spot kick too. Juve was down 5-2 against Turkey's Galatasaray in the aggregate. They lost 5-2 on the road in Turkey. And I believe if this result holds, I'm not sure because Champions League has changed its format a little bit. If the away goals count more, if the away goals do count more, like they do in the Champions Cup, they're going to advance, being down 3 goals coming into this match. And 2 of those goals have come down a man on a red card.
Can't wait to get the full report from Chris Ella today.
Weston McKinney was the one that scored that one.
There you go.
USA international player.
All right, Aztecs tonight, Frank. Aztecs walked off the floor in Fort Collins after an 83-74 loss to Colorado State, feeling like their season was slipping away. I would imagine so. Second straight loss. At-large hopes likely gone. They're 18-8 overall, 12-4 in Mountain West Conference play. Joe Lenardi has them at third of first 4 out. 2 games back in the loss column in the standings to Utah State. Miles Bird said it felt like the end of the world after they lost that game against Colorado State. But then the plot twist on the airport tarmac, as reported by Mark Ziegler, the team watched Utah State
lose to Nevada, and suddenly it's a 1-game deficit again, and Utah State is coming to Viejas Arena with first place back on the table. From a season on the brink to now destiny back in their hands in terms of winning a regular season Mountain West championship. Emotional swing. They had the bus ride to the airport. They were deflated, had the plane delay, and with the plane delay, a lifeline moment for we're back in this thing. Did Camposanos walk in a run right there? I think he did. Money. Utah State loss completely flipped the math. Now, if you beat Utah State, you're tied for first with 3 games left. And I, as of right now, like as an Aztec fan, don't even worry about the at-large stuff. Get yourself a championship in the regular season. Let's focus on that. And it's a huge game tonight. Brian Dutcher admitted the reality, though. Unfortunately, we're not really good. We're not playing good basketball, and they're not playing good basketball. And hopefully they are able to fix that tonight against Utah State. A big problem of why they're not playing well, they have lost 2 straight. The defensive lapses at Colorado State have been tough. A questionable practice intensity per Reese Dixon Waters. Emotional fragility showing. Dixon Waters openly called out poor practices leading into Colorado State. Obviously, that's some stuff that's between the ears and not with the talent. Less X's and O's, need to have more urgency, pride, and obviously emotional maturity if this Aztecs team. I think this kind of breath of fresh air with Utah State losing helps them going into tonight. I mean, 3 weeks ago in Logan, the Aztecs held MJ Collins scoreless for 34 minutes. They were +4 in fast break points. They led by 11 in the first half. This is when we were doing our FanFest broadcast, Frank. They led by 7 late, the Aztecs did, and they lost in the final 5 minutes, and they did it without the key contributors fully healthy. That loss now looms massive, and the team has proven that they could beat Utah State. They just haven't proven that they can finish. Lineup chess pieces. Again, Brian Dutcher has options. They can move BJ Davis back to the bench where they have better production there, 11 points per game, 42% from 3 versus 27% as a starter. They can reinsert LZ Harrington, who's missed time with an injury. They can expand Ty Simmons' minutes, strong plus-minus impact, but the fix probably isn't rotational. It's kind of the mental side of things with the way that they practiced last week and the way that they're practicing now. The last time San Diego State lost 3 straight games was January 2018, 261 games ago. They're now 9-0 following consecutive losses. That's the culture. That's the pride of Aztec basketball. That's the standard. And that's what the standard needs to be tonight against Utah State. And the energy needs to be able to live up to that. National title appearance 2 seasons ago. First 4 blowout in Dayton last year. At-large hopes look shaky. Miles Bird referenced that Dayton embarrassment directly. That loss still stings. This group feels like they haven't proven anything, which they really haven't. Hopefully, that can fuel them into the game tonight. The Mountain West reality. Nevada lost by 14 at Viejas, by 16 at 11th place San Jose State, then beat first place Utah State. That's the Mountain West. So even though Utah State's been very good, tonight is a big impact on the game. Frank, I look at this game. I look at that kind of delay with the airplane, leading to them watching Utah State on the tarmac, leading to them getting this kind of new sense of hope. If they can use that energy tonight, I think San Diego State can come in and get a victory, but they have to do it now. I mean, they're backed into a corner. They have to beat Utah State for not only first place in the Mountain West, but also to just hang on to what is probably a 2% chance of making an at-large bid.
But you're in a must-win scenario at this point. You have to win tonight's game. And if you're a believer in the fact that everything happens for a reason, that plane was delayed for a reason. So you could sit there and you can watch and see your goal shift. Utah State right now is a beatable team. I know they've only lost 4 games this year. They've lost 3 in conference. They're a good team. You saw them lose that game for a reason. You saw now with your own eyes what you have to do. You didn't need to wait and see it on a scorecard. You didn't need to wait and see it in a tweet. You saw it happen. Go out there and take the gift that has been given to you tonight. You have been gifted an opportunity to stay in the Mountain West and possibly win this conference. It is a must-win game tonight. You have to take this opportunity.
I think winning the Mountain West Conference in the regular season does a lot of stuff to boost your opportunity. I think Utah State's already a lock for the NCAA tournament as an at-large. So this is a chance to beat an NCAA tournament team, and then you have another chance maybe in the Mountain West tournament to beat them again. But chaos is coming with the bubble. Selection Sunday is 3 weeks away. There are 37 at-large bids. Power conferences have stacked them. Mid-majors are begging for an opportunity to get in, and the metrics are driving everything. This year's bubble isn't just about wins and losses. It's about your net. It's about strength of record. It's about quad one wins. It's about predictive metrics like KenPom and BPI, and it's about conference reputation. And the real question, are we rewarding the resumes or are we rewarding some of the brands here? It sounds like more of the brands, but that's the rules. That's what that's going to be in there. So we talked about this in terms of how it impacts the Aztecs. Their net is good. It's not great. It's a net ranking that's going to get bumped by bid stealers. And we haven't talked about bid stealers yet. Quad one wins. You only have one quad one win. You need to add quad one wins. You have 3 more quad one potential opportunities coming up, depending on how New Mexico and Boise State do. There's an opportunity tonight. But if you start looking at where these bids are going to go, the SEC is projected to get 10 bids. Texas and Auburn are close to try to get into the NCAA tournament. Kentucky, Georgia, A&M, and Missouri are battling for spots as well. In the Big Ten, they're projected to get 9 bids. Iowa and UCLA should be in, but they still got to play their way in. Ohio State, Indiana, and USC right there in the same conversation line as San Diego State. And SC lost last night, which is good for the Aztecs. The difference, too, there is you're competing with some of these schools. Ohio State, 0-9 quad one games, but you only have 1 win. You got to get multiple wins in the comparisons with Ohio State. ACC, they're projected to get 8 bids. SMU, Miami, Clemson around the should be in top of the bubble portion, and Virginia Tech and Cal are behind you right now, but they're looking for some chaos. Big 12's got 7 projected bids. I think they probably get 8, maybe 9 teams in. They got their 6 locks already. UCF had a huge win at BYU last night. TCU held on for another win. And then all of a sudden, when you thought Cincinnati was out, they beat Kansas on the road by double digits.
Yeah, Kansas has had a couple of big losses here recently.
Yeah, they always go through that around this time. I mean, Cincinnati's still hanging on. Cincinnati, they have a way better win on their resume than San Diego State does. They beat Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse. Big East projected to get 3 bids in. Seton Hall hanging around. Mid-major drama. Mountain West, Utah State, lock. New Mexico starting to fade with their loss yesterday. Nevada. San Diego State still continuing to slip. 3 bids possible, but right now, the way that New Mexico and San Diego State are playing, the Mountain West might be a 1 big school, 1 big league. Atlantic 10, St. Louis is going to be in a commanding spot. VCU hanging around. That's another team you got to compete with for a bubble chance. Gonzaga is a lock. St. Mary's should be in. Santa Clara fighting for a 3rd bid. Santa Clara has looked really good this year in the West Coast Conference. Metrics are going to rule everything, and right now the Aztecs need a big metric win, and tonight is their best opportunity to do so. When we come back tomorrow, we'll talk about that game. We'll give you an update on what's going on with Padres spring training. We have your coverage coming up next. Tony Gwynn Jr., not yet. He's still in the 6th inning. Chris Ello, Matt Scraby, Gwynn and Chris. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. See you guys tomorrow.